Hello to everyone out there watching on the World Wide Web. Thank you very much for checking out the video. I finally got my camera put up, and it's not really the camera that I'm going to be using for the long term or anything. This is actually my dash cam that I took out of my car, and I'm just sick of waiting. I kept going on Amazon, seeing when I could get a camera, and it's just taken forever. Amazon, it was indefinite. They didn't even show me anything as far as what I could order to get to me at any point. So I went on Walmart.com, and they had a couple of cameras that they said they could get by mid-April. So given the state of our country, our economy, we're all shut down right now. There's much more important things for the truckers to be delivering to our communities than freaking cameras. So I took my dash cam out of my car. So it's not the best idea. It's a really wide view. It's like a 120-degree view. So everything looks a little bubbled. So, but I figure I'd give it a try. I might as well just try it and see what it looks like. I don't know what the lighting's like. I just kind of set it up and just decided to go with it. I tried to center it as best I can. I actually have it literally rubber banded onto a tripod, so I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I've been growing out my facial hair. I don't normally look like this, but I am doing it because I only have one change of my razor blades left, and I just put it on my razor last week, and I usually shave just once a week, and when I do that, I can usually stretch out one razor blade for about 6 to 8 months before it starts to get pretty tough to shave. I know most people, especially those who are members of Dollar Shave Club, they'll change out their razors every month or more. I've even heard of people, they'll change out their razors once a week, but I don't shave every day, so my hair is also crazy long right now. I was supposed to go get it cut a couple of weeks ago, but all this happened, and I started getting paranoid once I started stocking up on my stuff at Aldi from back in February. So I'm pretty sure that my barber's closed now. It might not be, but I'm assuming it is. So I am going to attempt to cut my own hair with scissors this weekend. If it doesn't work out too well, like I said in a previous video, I bought some clippers, so I'm just going to buzz it all off. I mean, I'm sure you're admiring my gorgeous hair, which is a crazy mess right now because it's stupid long and it looks ridiculous, I think. But it'll grow back. My hair grows really fast, so I'm not really worried about that. It's a small sacrifice for what we're dealing with, which is a lot right now. So speaking of which, I'm going to get into it. Right before that, I'm going to point out the desktop. I put up a new wallpaper for this video. I've been trying to do one for each video, but this week it's just been crazy. It's been busy at work. It's been hectic, so there's been a lot going on with that too. So I haven't been on top of my game this week. I've been trying to really get into this daily broadcasting thing, or video making, that is, but it's been pretty tough. But I'm starting to get into it. I'm still a little bit rusty, but I think I'm getting a little bit better. But I did change the wallpaper. I don't know. It kind of reminded me of what New York might look like today if it were maybe 100 years from now. I mean, the street lights look a little crude. I'm not really sure if our street lights are going to look like that. They already look better than that now, but I just figured that was kind of fitting for the situation that we're dealing with right now. And New York City is empty. If you go on the internet and you look up pictures of New York City right now, it looks insanely empty. You don't see people walking on sidewalks. You don't see cars on the street. It's really bizarre looking. So, yeah, it might be reminiscent to what's on the computer screen right now. So if you're watching this and you're not seeing the video, that means that I failed in my attempt to record a video. I hope that I did, but it's not centered over over my screen. That is not my laptop. I actually have a PC that towers down here on the ground, but the monitor that I have, I tried to prop it up behind it so I can have a straight ahead view, but it just wasn't working. The tripod wasn't cooperating, and I just had to kind of set it off here to the side. Hopefully it looks okay. I'm not sure. I'm probably not going to look at the camera very much because I read most of the time while I'm doing this, but I figured since I want to be doing a podcast pretty soon, which I'm going to call the Spathon Express whenever it finally comes out, I just figured I probably would benefit a little bit by experimenting with camera angles, maybe with my lighting. I just have some little spotlight that's over there, so I don't know if that's doing anything. It looks a little dim, but I don't know. I'll work with it. But it's Friday night, and I'm wearing my Johnny Cash t-shirt. I mean, rocking and rolling. We'll try to get through this thing not as quickly as possible, just like the other nights, because I've been rushed to do these videos with very little preparation time. But that said, today was a work day, so I didn't spend hours and hours just combing the internet looking for all the best articles to give you. But I did do some due diligence. I took a couple hours today, and I just quickly went through one headline after the next, and when one jumped off the digital page, so to speak, I clicked on it and I put it in my bookmarks. So hopefully I got a few good ones for you. I think they're pretty good, but hopefully. And yeah, I'm more or less trapped in Florida. They haven't closed off my state yet, but Governor DeSantis is starting to close off Florida from other states, which I think is a very good idea, especially given the nature of spring break and with all the senior citizens we have in this area. So, or in the state rather. But I think, and this will point to, I think, my first note here. First, I'll start off by saying that we're now at day 15 of the isolation, and that's the number of days since the national emergency had been declared by the president. And that includes the day of. So I actually shifted that slightly because I didn't account for the day that it was declared, which I thought was more appropriate. So where in earlier videos you might be counting and being like, well, shouldn't it be day 14? Yeah, by historical counts of my previous videos, it should be, but I didn't account for the day of the declaration. But anyway, the first note that I have here is, where are you in the United States? Wherever you are, stay put. Stay where you're at, because if your state becomes a hotspot for coronavirus, you're going to have neighboring states around that are not going to be happy about you leaving that state where you're currently living that would be a hotbed. And right now, at least in the perspective of Florida, right now it is New York and it's Louisiana. Louisiana is building up quickly with their cases. I don't know if the testing is just more readily available or if people are just getting, or if there's just more and more people being exposed to the virus. I don't know. But Governor DeSantis here in Florida, he is doing checkpoints into our state pertaining specifically to New Yorkers and people in Louisiana. And I'm sure it's going to extend to other states. And eventually, if it gets bad enough, he might just close off the whole state to the rest of the country. I did see on the news, I think it was during the president's press briefing. I don't know why that popped up. I think I have some. Yeah, that happened. I think that might be on my antivirus thing. It's starting to funnel in a bunch of garbage. It's like every time I try to Google search something, it's now redirecting me to Bing, and now this crap starts popping up. So I'm gonna have to get rid of that ad blocker, because now it's starting to flood my freaking computer with adware and all that crap. But anyway, thanks for screwing up my train of thought. But Governor DeSantis, he is that at least what they said during the White House press briefing this evening. Governor DeSantis appears to be the first governor who has taken the initiative to close off other parts of the country to our state. And I'm sure that's going to follow with other states very soon. I'm not sure if a state like New York may put up a restriction where you can't leave the state of New York because it's such a hotbed. I assume that DeSantis, our governor, is probably wanting New York to do that because it would make his job easier with regard to restricting travel from New York to Florida and checking them after they had made their way down to Florida. It would probably be easier for New York to say, hey, don't go to Florida. Just don't leave, because when you get there, you're going to have to be turned around anyway. Or they're not actually. I got that wrong. DeSantis isn't turning anybody around. Instead, he's essentially quarantining people for 14 days. How he's doing that, I don't know. What I heard was that if you're a New Yorker coming down to Florida, that they take down your information, they take down the address you're going to go to, and you have to self-quarantine for like 14 days once you get to your destination. So I don't know what measurements that they have in place to make sure that happens. I don't know. But I do know that if you're found in violation of that, then you're facing 60 days in jail or a certain fine. And I don't remember the exact fine, but I think the threat for jail time should be enough to keep you out of our state. And just stay home. Stay in your own state. There should be no point, especially in the stage of the virus where it is now, even more especially a month from now. Can you imagine a month from now how crazy the numbers are going to be? It looks like that every 3 days that the overall number of infected is doubling in the United States. At least that's what it looks like for me. It could be Might be every 4 days, 5 days, but to me, it has like an every 3 day feel to it, especially in Florida. We're up to over 3,000 cases in Florida. And I know at the beginning of this week, we were less than 1,000. I think it was like Monday when I last pulled up some information on my state where they said that we had, I think it was in the 900s or something like that. And it literally feels like yesterday that we had 700 cases, 600 cases, 200 cases. I remember just last week, Pinellas County, the county I lived in, we only had like two. We had literally two cases. Right now we're somewhere around 120, something like that. I do have an article that's going to draw down some information about my area specifically. I also brought up an article about Michigan. So if you live there, I'm going to provide some information about that state. Much of it you probably already know, but I found it surprising, the numbers of infected people that are in Michigan, because that has not popped up on my radar, and it was a lot higher than I thought it was going to be. So it's just growing throughout the whole country. We're number one on earth for infected people with coronavirus. And China, if I'm not mistaken, because Italy was catching China quickly, China's numbers haven't moved at all in like a month because they're not reporting them correctly, I'm sure. I don't know what's going on with all that, but I'm sure Italy has probably surpassed that. I will bring up the Johns Hopkins map, and we'll take a quick look at that. So I guess the only other thing to do right now is just take a look at a couple of my notes on Notepad, and I'll get into it. So if you see me looking off to that direction that I'm looking at right now, I'm looking at Notepad on the computer. So exactly where I'm looking right now, I'm looking at those two little lines right here on my cursor. So like, like I'm going to try to remember that the camera's there, but this is my first time doing this, so I might actually forget and just get right into it without painting my eyes that way. So my apologies if that annoys you. I mean, I'm trying. I don't even know if this video is actually going to get posted. I hope it does. My idea is that I'm going to use my software. I think it's OBS. It's something that Twitch streamers use. My idea is that I'm going to record with my dash cam. I'm going to take the footage from it, plug it into the computer, and load it up on OBS somehow, and just put this image into the bottom corner somewhere. So hopefully it works out okay. And without further ado, on this lovely Friday night, otherwise, if you're at home, if you're safe, if you're healthy, if your relatives are healthy, if you're just dealing with the times, I hope to God you're employed right now. I really do. Those who are looking at unemployment right now, I mean, I could only imagine. I've been unemployed for periods of time before. I mean, I think most of us knows, how tough it can get, but this is a whole new animal. I mean, we haven't dealt with this since the 30s, with millions of people being out of work. 3.3 million people filed for unemployment yesterday, at least the numbers for the month, I think it was. So far for March, 3.3 million. That's a lot of people. In the grand scheme of things, with 330 million human beings that are living in this country, it doesn't sound that large, but it's big. So, I mean, next month is probably going to be much worse. Rent's due. I mean, I got paid today. Today was payday. I think today's payday for most people in the country if you get a biweekly paycheck. I mean, and if you were furloughed, and if you don't have a job right now and you're missing that paycheck, or you only got a portion of it because of the shutdown, I really hope that this whole thing with Congress, they apparently passed it today. It got passed. President Trump signed it, so it's good to go. So money is on the way, and hopefully you're using the same information that you used to file your taxes with last year. If you changed your address since then, it might be a little, I don't know, a hiccup, but I guess they're going off of your tax returns from last year as far as your address and how you had your money sent to you. And this is pertaining to the $1,200 plus $500 for each kid you have. This isn't pertaining to unemployment. I'm sure that the government's going to go through the state's unemployment office to get your information from that, because they're supposedly going to be giving out $600 per week for up to 4 months that you're on unemployment for. And that's for each person that's unemployed. So good news for some. Like I said in the last video, use this 4 months. If you're in that situation, use it to just get some training somewhere, somehow. Train yourself. Binge watch YouTube videos that can help you build a skill that you might be able to pick up in the next 4 months. There is a note that I threw in here, and I might as well just show it now. It pertains to truck drivers. And let's see if I can find it here. Okay, here we are. Trying to find a way to change your job in 4 months. What about commercial trucking? And I do have an article pulled up for that too, so I don't want to reveal too much information about that. Um, but the trucking industry is overwhelmed right now, obviously, because of the supply chain, because truckers are only allowed to drive so far in so many hours, and they have to rest for a period of time. And, no human being can be up for 4 or 5 straight days with no sleep and still operating a motor vehicle, a very heavy and dangerous one at that. So I don't know, because the article didn't exactly say if they are in demand for truck drivers, but I mean, if truck drivers start getting infected, for example, they're going to lose truck drivers for a period of time. Not permanently, because once you get over the virus, you'll be back to work. But with all of this displacement in supplies, because people are buying 3 times more than they're supposed to at the store, I'm sure that there's this huge increase in demand for truck drivers. So I just threw that out there. It was just a personal observation. I don't know if that's really true or not, but I just figured that was just one idea that you can take and maybe potentially get a position with in the near future. I know you do have to go to truck driving school or get your CDL. So I don't think it's more than a 4 month long process, but I guess if you're in that kind of a situation where maybe you thought about it in the past, and if it does take 4 months or less to get your license, now is the time to act on that. Because if you were a server or if you're working in retail or something like that, yes, those are they're coming back, but we don't know when. It could be months, and you can't be without a job for 6 months or 8 months or a year, God forbid. So it's really something that you have to consider for yourself. I mean, like, just scour the internet, look for something that's very high in demand. I mean, the numbers are going to be really hard to come up with, especially right now because this virus outbreak is still very early on, relatively speaking. But as the days and hopefully weeks at most, I hope the numbers don't get crunched down in months from now, because that's way too long for most people. But hopefully there might be some information. I don't know about Labor of Bureau Statistics. Maybe they might put something out on their website saying, hey, if you're furloughed from your job, look into this industry. They're really high in demand right now. So there might be resources out there on the internet, and I'll try to find something to see if I can post that on one of my videos, so you can hopefully have that information. But I would say at this point, I mean, you can't get a bachelor's degree in 4 months. I mean, honestly, the best you can do, if you're really good with working with your hands, try to find a trade, try to find a good skill, something that you can special or get it down into specialty territory within 4 months. I mean, if you bust your ass every day for 12 hours and just learning and practicing and you can you can contact a local company that's doing a certain skill or a trade that you're looking to get into, offer your services for free, say that you're willing to offer yourself as an apprentice, just to do just grunt work, leg work, just do whatever you can to learn something. I mean, it's better than nothing. It's better than just sitting on the couch for 4 months and just letting your 4 months waste away, when there's probably lots of other people out there that are actually using the best of this time that they have. I mean, if you're not employed and you're still getting $600 a week plus the unemployment that you were already eligible for, I mean, that's a pretty, I mean, I would say, I don't know about the majority, but for a lot of us, that's a pretty good circumstance for 4 months. I mean, that's probably full wage almost, if not maybe a little over, depending on where you're working or which state you live in or which city you live in or whatever it is that you're doing. So anyway, see, now you know the sound when you hear the sound through the microphone. It's me vaping. So anyway, let me just go up here to the top here. Stay in your home state. I already got through that, so I'll just go ahead and let that one bite the dust. The effects of Trump's 15-day isolation plan will be reviewed this weekend, and it will be updated on Monday. And when I watched Trump's speech, he said Monday, but then I watched most of it a second time over, and he said possibly Tuesday. He'll go over the plan with Dr. Fauci and that ambassador lady. I can't remember her name, but everybody knows who she is by now. I just can't think of her name off the top of my head. But he said that Monday, maybe as late as Tuesday, they're going to revisit this 15-day plan and try to drill down a little more specifically as to what we need to be doing now. So this initial 15-day isolation plan is like round one. When they meet up on Monday and then they formulate a new strategy, I guess you would call that round two. See what we got to do now. I mean, the ultimate end game is that everybody can go back to work, all the businesses open up again, but I mean, the way this virus is spreading, as bad as it is, I mean, thank God it's not bad for our kids, but for, I mean, the vast majority of the age groups, I mean, it's a tough thing. So hopefully we can get this crap under control really soon. And I mean, I don't know. I think China, they need to be held accountable for this, and not just for the United States. I mean, we're just one country out of 175 countries that are infected right now, and just give it. I mean, you don't want to fault a country for a disease to come out of if they didn't if they had no control over it. Like if this came from, any one of the third world countries that could be around the world, that's one thing. But China has the second largest economy on Earth. But they also have these wet markets. They have these markets where they have like ferrets in cages on top of chickens, and when ferrets droppings get mixed in with the chickens, and I heard this on Joe Rogan's podcast with some infectious disease specialist, and he's like, yeah, China, I mean, it's a breeding ground for disease. I mean, that's like ground zero, because yes, it might be a rich country, but the food industry is not regulated very well at all. I don't think they have the USDA over there. I don't think that they're inspecting live bats to make sure that they pass inspection. So I mean, China needs to be held accountable for this. I mean, I know they have a lot of people there. There's a lot of mouths to feed, but they have the second highest economy on Earth. I don't know why so many people are struggling there. I guess off the top of my head, it might be communism. Maybe that's the reason why they're suffering so much. Just off the top of my head, but yeah, just take that for for what you will. So anyway, the effects of Trump's 15-day isolation plan will be reviewed this weekend. We'll find out. And sorry, I try not to do that so close to the mic. I know that's loud. I apologize. That was just a reaction. It's a habit. When it's in my hand, I just want to, breathe it. I know it's bad for me. I mean, they say vaping's healthy, but come on, let's be real. I mean, it's not healthy. Anyway, I'll put it down. Hopefully I will ignore it for a little bit. So anyway, Emory University in the city of Atlanta in Georgia started opening enrollment for a vaccine trial. So if you're infected with coronavirus, and if you live in the city of Atlanta right now, look into Emory University, because they are going to be starting open enrollment. I think it's open right now. And now the vaccine's experimental. I mean, it could be devastating. They didn't say anything specific. This is during the White House press briefing, so I don't know exactly what they're telling the test subjects or the interested parties that are trying to get in on this. But I mean, this thing is an extremely early trial. So I don't know if they're only testing people that are knocking on death's door. I don't know if they're enrolling people who have no other option. I mean, nobody has an option at this point. I mean, if you get coronavirus, you just have to pray to God that your immune system can take care of it. I mean, it's even getting to the point now where people who have recovered from coronavirus, they're trying to draw their plasma so they can send their plasma into hospitals and give it to people who are affected. And hopefully that will have some effect on their immune system, and it'll help them just kick the virus out of them. I mean, I don't know, but hopefully it works. But right now they're just trying to get something going, and they're pretty much just throwing darts at a black target. Like they're in a pitch black room. They're trying to throw darts at a target and hoping that one of them just hits it. And like they said, I mean, a vaccine they expect usually takes 3 to 4 years. They're hoping, with the entire world trying to work on one at the moment, all of the best medical scientists on Earth are now, I'm sure they're stopping every project that we're working on, and it's all coronavirus right now. They're saying with all of that just built up behind this initiative, it still could take 18 months or longer. And if we do get a vaccine within a year and a half, they said it'll be 3 times faster than any other vaccine has ever been developed in human history. So, I mean, it's just a matter of developing the right thing, testing it on a broad spectrum of people, and if it shows clear-cut results, then I mean, I guess technically in a month from now we could have a vaccine. It just depends. It could be a month or it could be 5 years. I mean, let's hope and pray that it's not 5 years, but we just don't know. We don't know, but hopefully it's going to happen soon. But in the meantime, if you live in Atlanta, or if you have the means to get to Atlanta, with very limited time. I don't even know how you could get to Atlanta, to be frank, if you have coronavirus. They're not going to let you fly anywhere. I don't think anybody's really flying anywhere anyway. But if you have the way to get there, just communicate it to them and say, look, I can have somebody drive me there tomorrow. they probably won't let you go because whoever's driving you is probably going to end up laying right next to bed, right beside you, while they're getting this test done, for obvious reasons. But so that was a little bit of good news, right? It's good news. They're starting vaccine trials in the United States. That is good news. You know, we're not getting good news much these days. I mean, you got to chalk that up to a huge win. Even if it proves to be completely fruitless months from now, at least it's a glimmering shining of hope, whatever that phrase might be. Anyway, let's see. So Apple, the Apple company, they have a new app, which is a new screening tool that allows Americans to determine if you need to go get a test or not. Google kind of dropped the ball on that, didn't they? Because if you go on Google, let me see if I can pull this up in time. But if you get on Google, and if you go to, hold on, I got to stay close to the microphone. I know my keyboard's going to be clicking and banging around because I've got this crude cardboard type surface because, I mean, I got back problems, so I can't sit down. So I jerry-rigged my setup to the best way I could in order to stand. But yeah, so actually here, it'll probably take you right here. Do the 5. Okay, so this is like I think it is. I think it's like google.com/coronavirus. Let me see what this brings up. There is like an official site. Yeah, there it is. That's the official site that they have right now. It gives you help, and it's just an information tool, essentially. Safety and prevention tips, data and insights, resources to help you, support some relief efforts, and latest from our blog. So, you know, take it for whatever you want to. CDC.gov, a couple of links. It pretty much tells you like what they know about the coronavirus. Do the 5 things. You know, keep your hands clean, cough in your elbow, and stuff like that. They have some videos you can watch. They even had a few videos the other day where it was like do you have a bunch of canned food that's stashed away in your closet? Somebody like me. Like, here's some really awesome recipe ideas that you can take some of this common canned food stuff and make up something really awesome with it. So, I mean, they have lighthearted stuff, but then they also have very serious, like how to keep yourself from getting sick kind of information as well. But what Google said, I'm at home, by the way. I know. I'm at home. I completely washed my hands all the way up to my elbows because I wore a long sleeve shirt to work today. Scrubbed really good. I used sanitizing wipes on my doorknobs. I've wiped my car down since I got home. I got my dash cam out of the car, so that was an easy opportunity, but I do that regularly anyway. I also wiped down my lunchbox. I wiped down my freezer packs that I use. I wiped down everything. So if you see me touching my face, I'm sorry. It's just it's a habit of mine. I'm a severe nail biter. So yeah, it happens all the time. My face, it's always itchy. If I'm not touching it, it gets itchy because my nervous habit with biting nails and stuff, it's always happening. So if you see me touching my face, it's because I'm in the comfort of my own home. I mean, I'm clearly not at the office right now. I'm in my bedroom. So and I'm totally clean right now. I know I'm clean. I do. My mother, like, she and I live together, and she is a school teacher, so she's been obviously unemployed, or not unemployed, but she's not even furloughed. They just took additional time off, and actually starting on Monday, didn't really plan on getting into that, but starting Monday in Florida, at least for Pinellas County schools, they're going to start up school on Monday, and they're going to do remote teaching, and so she teaches kindergarten kids, so that's going to be a whole thing in and of itself. That's going to be, I don't know what she's got planned, but it sounds like she's on top of her game, so I think that she's going to do really well. And I'm sure, just given the circumstances, especially with how driven we are, it's getting close to the end of the year. It's almost summer, and they've waived grades for the rest of the school year, at least in the state of Florida. I think that's kind of a nationwide standard at this point, but yeah, but she's, I mean, I feel kind of bad, especially when I'm doing videos in the evening, because I love having conversations with my mom after we've had dinner and we're just chilling. I got like a little glass of rum in me, and we're just loose and just hanging out, watching game shows and stuff, especially when my daughter's here. We've been watching Deal or No Deal lately. She loves it. I think the next one we're going to go with is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And my daughter, for some reason, she likes the old stuff. She like, okay, here's a good example. There is Press Your Luck. Remember Press Your Luck back in like the early 80s? I think it may have started like maybe 79, but I think it was primarily in the 80s. I've probably seen all of them by now, but my daughter, she really likes that show. And then there's also the show Whammy that came out around like 2000, 2002, 3, somewhere around there, and it played for a few seasons. Well, she watches both of them. She really likes the new one, but she, for some reason, likes to revert back to the classics. She loves Match Game. She lets Let's Make a Deal. We've checked out Card Sharks. We haven't done $100,000 Pyramid yet. So there are some other ones that are out there. Family Feud. She loves Richard Dawson's Family Feud way more than crap. I can't remember his name. I know he had 5 girls. I know that he tragically took his own life. I just can never remember his name. I think he's got a weird last name. But we've done Wheel of Fortune. We've done Old Wheel of Fortune, New Wheel of Fortune. We've done Bob Barker, Price is Right. We've done Drew Carey, Price is Right. She always likes to go back to the early days, like back before I like to go to. She wants to go back to like the 80s, like the late 70s Price is Right. I'm like, come on, man. This is like, I'm never going to get these prices right just because of inflation and everything now. But she digs it. She likes the old stuff, it's actually really cool. It's really neat. But yeah, usually after I get home from work and I wind down, decompress. This is before coronavirus, but typically, yeah, I'd come home, wind down, we'd have dinner, just flip on the TV, and my mom and I would just chat while the three of us are watching game shows usually, and it's usually a really nice night. But after coronavirus, it's changed things, and in my own personal life, I wanted to try to start podcasting, and I want to get my friend in on this. Okay, so I don't use my first name with my video or my channel here, but so I don't know if he's going to want to have like a nickname. So I don't want to give out his name right now because he wants to come in with me and we're going to do a podcast together. So hopefully it might work. I don't know, but I hope it does. I mean, I hope we get through all this crap, and I hope that everything works out okay. But I mean, in the meantime, when coronavirus started up, I already put in all the time to make up all my intro videos for my podcast. I mean, it's all ready to go. It's just ready and waiting. I just want that camera. I don't want to use this camera because the field of view is too wide. It just looks too weird. But I figured I might as well get some practice with a camera and see where it goes. But plus with coronavirus, my best friend who lives down the street, we didn't even grow up in the state. It was just by sheer coincidence because I moved down here, and years later he just happened to move down here because of a friend of both of ours. I mean, definitely a friend of both of ours in high school. She was from here and she moved back down here, and he actually hooked up with her and they got married. So just, wow, crazy coincidence. And we actually lived in the same apartment complex growing up, like 1,000 miles away from Florida. It was crazy. So yeah, and he literally lives 3 minutes down the road from here. It's yeah, wow. But so I asked him if he wanted to come in and do a podcast where we just talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about, kind of format, just bring us some interesting content that we might both share similar or different beliefs on. But so yeah, hopefully we can get that started soon. But this whole coronavirus thing just came out of nowhere. And I figured instead of trying to start this podcast of mine that I wanted to start, it just didn't seem as important as what this is. And I know that these videos that I'm making right now are hitting like people by the ones. Like I think my number one video for this is number 14. For the other 13 videos, I think the number one video was like 15 views. So I'm honestly not worried about it. This is only personal practice just to see if I can get a handle on this new hobby. Don't ever plan on making a career out of it. I definitely don't. I just want to have fun, chill with my friend, have some good conversations. He's a really intelligent person. He's a hell of an artist. My God, he's a hell of an artist. Actually, if you give me just a sec, I think I've got one. Hold on. Just right here. All right. I've got a drawing of his. I actually didn't even plan on bringing this out because it was way back there on the other side of my room, but check this out. My buddy who might get into a little bit of podcasting with me, he did this drawing. This drawing is, by the way, 2013, which it's not. He actually did the print for this in 2013. He actually drew this picture more like 2005 or earlier. Like this was a really long time ago he did this. But check out this drawing. Look at this. Isn't that crazy? It's a pregnant skeleton. It's pretty awesome. So there you go. Pregnant skeleton. My buddy Josh did that freehand. Took him maybe an hour, believe it or not. Took him like an hour to do that. And he had these he had these sketchbooks that he's filled up one after the next that's filled with drawings like that. It's insanely awesome. I mean, he's got a real way with art that's just unlike something that I've ever seen before, especially when it comes to pen and ink. He's insane with pen and ink, especially with that dark, morbid type of art. He's really good with it. He definitely should be making tattoo prints. I've been telling him that for years and years, but he's just not done it. I've mentioned comic books, but in the age of 2020, in the 21st century, comic books is not really a guaranteed shot to stardom and fame and fortune, but still. But anyway, let me see. Going back, how far did I get from here? Okay, so anyway, with this website, going back to Google, getting back to the point. So they were supposed to come out with a website where you can actually do a click-by-click process, and it actually will tell you, should I get testing or should I not get a coronavirus test, just based on all the yeses and nos that I clicked on. And they still have nothing. It's only an informational website. And now the president came out with this news, not Google. But the president said that he was talking with Google, and they set like 1,000 engineers aside to work on a site like that, where you could do like in-person testing for free on Google, where you can like figure out like, yes, I should get a test. And what they might be trying to plug in is like, based on your results, it might get fed into some federal system where like they receive that and they're like, okay, well, we got his name in our system, so whenever he shows up, we'll test him. I don't know if they were going that far. That's just my own personal thought. But Apple, they took the next step. Apple actually, I don't have the actual website up. I just have the information based on the White House press conference. But Apple has a new app, a new screening tool that allows Americans to determine if you need to go and get a test or not. So Apple basically just stole the idea from Google, it sounds like to me, or they one-upped Google and they came out with it faster than Google. Not only do they have, they don't just have a website, they actually have an app that you can just get on your phone. I'm sure it's exclusive to iPhones. I'm sure that, I don't know, maybe they did some extra charity work and maybe it's available on Android. Maybe it's also available on a plain old-fashioned website, but we'll just have to see. That's literally all the information I have, so anything else is just speculation. All right, so, God, it's hot in here. The room, I mean, it's in the house, but this room that I live in, it used to be a garage. It totally used to be a garage. A lot of houses in Pinellas County were built in the 50s and 60s, and these days, a large number of those houses have been converted into 3-bedroom houses, where what once was a garage is now a room. So the ventilation's not the best. It gets hot in here, and during the summertime, it really sucks. but it's I think our high today was like 86, 87 degrees, so it's really warm right now. I might be ripping my shirt off. Not completely. I got a tank top on, so. But whatever. Anyway, in addition to what Apple came out with, they also said that they donated 9 million masks. So that's pretty cool. N95 masks. The president also mentioned a bunch of other companies that had donated masks, but that one jumped out to me because it was the largest number, so I figured I'd just jot it down and share it with you. All right, we already covered that point. So, all right, so let's see here. Yes, if you go to ED, so ED, like ed, ed.gov/coronavirus. It will take you to a government website that has offered to different states in the country as well as communities within those states who need online education resources for their students. All of that's available on that website. So if you're like the mayor of a town, or if you're just a concerned citizen and the school system that you're living in has not gotten their act together yet, time is of the essence at this point. This was just mentioned, and it was the Secretary of Education, if I'm not mistaken, who actually provided this source. Right in front of the president, right there on the podium in the White House. They said if you go to ed.gov/coronavirus, apparently it has a lot of links and resources that schools across the country can use, that is geared toward a homeschooling or remote schooling platform. So what does that mean exactly? I don't know, but apparently there's a lot of different tools that they lay out for you. So I don't know I'm sure it's not just geared toward large schools. I'm sure that they even have resources just for parents, just at the home front. So that's something to check out if you have kids, or if you're in a community where they're their schooling program for home-based schooling hasn't really taken off that much, or whatever it might be. That is apparently a pretty big announcement that they made. So give me just a second. I'm going to take this thing off. All right, I got a fan. I don't want to turn it on because it's going to be loud, I think. I think it's going to cause some problems with my microphone. So the air is really stagnant in here. It's not stagnant, but it's just not moving. I can just feel the heat. It's just here. So anyway, I probably should get a window AC unit or something. Nah, it's going to be too loud. I can't do that in here. I'm just going to have to deal with it, right? I might just have to be the tank top guy. Anywho, so Boris Johnson, huge news. You probably read this already because it's been sitting right there in front of your eyes. Nothing else but the lovely wallpaper of a futuristic city where it's raining, which I love. I love these futuristic cities that are raining. I don't know why, but I think it's awesome. I love rain. So, and I haven't seen rain in like 2 months, so it's kind of nice to see it. Can't wait till I can actually feel the rain. That'll be nice. But anyway, so Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of the UK, he has tested positive for coronavirus. Now, at first I was thinking Tom Hanks, yeah, he got coronavirus. Honestly, he probably got it on purpose just so he can get the best treatment in the world. So that way, he can come out of it and his immune system is, A-OK and all that. He's dealt with it. He doesn't have to worry about overcrowded hospitals 6 months from now where his fellow movie stars are going to be just stuck in these overcrowded hospitals like anybody else. But that's completely stupid, I'm sure. But that even proves that point against what my initial thought was with Tom Hanks even further, because the Prime Minister of Great Britain has coronavirus. Just like the heir to the throne, Prince Charles has the coronavirus right now. This thing is hitting everybody. But it's not a big surprise, not to me, because they are in a position where they're shaking hands all day long. They're talking to people up close all day long. They have like fairly political type of roles and stuff, very social. And if you're that kind of a person where you're socializing all the time, you're going to get it pretty quickly, especially when you shake, I don't know, like 300 different hands in a row. And then all of a sudden you feel this crazy itch on the side of your nose and you're just like, like that, and boom, now you're screwed. So I'm sure that's how they got it. But all right, so anyway, now this part here, if you started reading ahead, you might be a little confused by that, but this is the response from the president, and I'm paraphrasing it. I actually typed it in my own words just because I was typing as I was hearing it, and I was just kind of trying to shorten what I could to get it all out rather than just pausing it and then typing it word for word. But so one of the reporters that were in the White House asking the president questions after his briefing today, they asked him what he would say to kids that are at home right now watching their president giving this speech. What would you say to those kids that might be watching you right now? That's what follows here. He says that he was speaking directly to the kids. He said, "You are a citizen of the greatest country in the world. We were attacked by the worst virus since 1917. We are winning the battle in the war. Hopefully it won't take much longer. Kids need to behave, they need to wash their hands, and they need to stay inside and learn from this experience. They are probably happier now than they were at school, but they should learn what is happening around them, and we are fighting this virus for them." Which is absolutely true. When it comes down to it, we're trying to keep this country alive, not for us, because we're going to die eventually. We keep it alive for our kids. We keep this country the strongest country on earth so our kids can prosper as well as we've prospered. So, I thought that was really interesting, this question that was brought forward to him, because I haven't heard this yet. So that's why I typed so much of it. And to the youth of the world, and the youth of the world are much less attacked by this disease. And it seems that the younger you are, the better you deal with the virus. And the president says he's very happy about that. He also said that the swine flu attacked children strongly, as well as everyone else. But in this case, it seems that kids are getting through this virus very strongly, or very well. I probably typed the same thing twice because I was speed typing. In the meantime, kids should enjoy their time at home and be very proud of their country. So I thought that was really good coming from the president. Say whatever you want about him. He still is the president. This is not just the man. This is the president. This is the image of the United States. This is the leader of the United States that's saying this. So 100 years from now, when they have this stuff printed in their textbooks, there might be a little clause in there somewhere that might mention that the president was asked a question regarding the kids of the country at the time that this crazy pandemic happened. And there you go. That's probably what you're going to read in the textbooks. But yeah, I mean, every question he's getting, it's been great. The media has been very fair with their questions. I think honestly, the media is just sick of BSing. I really want to cuss right now, but I'll try to keep this as family friendly as possible. But it's just, I mean, they've treated him relentlessly terribly in the last 3-4 years. The Democrats have impeached him and all this nonsense Russia crap. And ironically, before he even became president, he kept saying China's our number one enemy, not Russia. He was like, actually, China's our number one enemy. Russia, I think it'd be a good thing if we got along with Russia. Wouldn't that be a good thing? That wouldn't be such a bad thing. Why wouldn't we want to get along with Russia today? I mean, it's 2016 right now. We should be getting along with Russia right now. And then all of a sudden he's a Russian agent. Vladimir Putin, Russia. He's a Russian spy. He's a Russian agent. Let's impeach him. He's in bed with Putin. He's Putin's puppet. On and on and on. I mean, I'm sure all of you remember all that crap. I mean, if you drank the Kool-Aid, all right, whatever. I mean, I feel that that's unfortunate, but I mean, clearly, looks like he was right the whole time. It was China. China was our number one enemy. And if you don't believe me, just look back. It's not hard to find. He's been saying this since way before he was president. They even have clips of him back in the early 90s. He even had an interview with Oprah where she was asking him questions like that. Like, would you ever run for president? Well, I think if my country needed me badly enough, I think that I would step up and take on that responsibility. I mean, and she asked something like that, like what do you think the greatest threat is to the United States today? And he went straight for China. He was like, it's China. China's our biggest threat. They're getting extremely powerful. Their economy is growing like you've never seen before. Like yada yada yada. Now fast forward 30 years, like going from like 1989 up to 2020. He was right the whole time. Sorry, folks. If you hated Trump, well, I mean, I guess that's on you. I guess that Kool-Aid, I don't know. It didn't kill you because you're still alive, but you drank some poison, that's for sure. So anyway, that's the end of my my notes here. So, I mean, yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, I'm not like a Sean Hannity type. I'm more of like a Tucker Carlson type who will tell it as it is. If there's something that goes wrong, I would be the first to admit it. I mean, there's a lot of good things with Democrats. There's a lot of bad things, a lot of bad things with Democrats. But there are some good things that happen. It's just, unfortunately, nothing's happened positively, I think, relatively speaking, in the last 3 years. But I'll try to stay out of politics. I'll try to stay out. If you want to get into a heated debate in the comments, I'll probably take you up on it. But anyway, so that's it for the notes. I'll just get straight into the articles here. Let's see, where is it? Oh, yeah. I got 2 tabs pulled up. This is my list of videos that I've been posting. This is my studio analytics, whatever it is that it is. But clearly very few views. These last 2 videos I just posted today, just in the last couple of hours, so naturally they're not going to have any views. Part 12 and part 13 are up. I'm sorry for part 12. I know I dropped the ball. I had pizza last night. I mean, just watch part 13. You'll understand why part 12 didn't get out, but they're both out now. They're there now. They're ready. They're good to go. By the time you watch this, it's probably going to be at least 24 hours since I've done this, because I have to figure out how to take this video I'm making and put it into OBS somehow, if I can. I hope I can. Just take a pre-recorded video, put it down into the corner, and just compile everything that I normally do. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. I really hope so, because I'm really counting on that. But if not, then, the life moves on, I guess. But yeah, so 4 views for part 11. I don't know why that I'm trying to see what number it is, but yeah, part 11 has 4 views. Part 10 has 4 views. 15, I think, is the big one. Part 8, I don't know why it has the most views. I don't think it was significant at all. 4 views, 7, 4. Oh, 22. Oh my God, 653. Holy shit. Whoa. Why did that hit so hard? That jumped out of nowhere. I wonder why that. You know, I'm going to be checking my taglines for that one for sure. 653 views. That's insane. That's nowhere near. I thought 15 was it. Everybody checked out that in one day. So there must have been some, I don't know, some hot tagline or something I had on there, but whatever. Still no comments, unfortunately. At least it has 100% likes. I think by default, no, it doesn't. Because no, I think honestly most of the likes are from me because like I just checked the video to see if it works. I'm like, well, why not? I'll give it the first click for good luck. But holy crap, 653 views. I'm gonna have to watch that again because that was so long ago. That was part 3. I don't even know what. I couldn't even tell you exactly what I was talking about. It was so long ago. What was that? March. It was March 16th. All right, March 16th, folks. Must have been a turning point in something. At least in this channel. I don't know. But anyway, just to let you know that part 12 and 13 are there. Part 14, this video that you're watching right now, it's obviously up now, but as it stands, it's 9:24 p.m. on the 27th, so I'm hoping it'll be as early as possible on the 28th that you'll be watching this, because when I get up in the morning, that's gonna be my game plan. I do have to do some stuff around the house. I'm sure my neighbors are pissed off because I haven't mowed the grass in like 4 months, literally, but we haven't gotten any rain in like 2 months, so the grass hasn't grown, but these little flowers are popping up everywhere. I think it's pretty, but we also have a giant beehive in our backyard. It's been there since the day we moved in. There's like a hunt. Literally, if you look on my channel, you can scroll down. I think it's like 2 years old now. If you go back to like 2018. I think it's like spring, summer maybe of 2018. You'll see the video. I posted one on YouTube. It shows our beehive in the back corner. It's underneath this like wood platform of where a shed used to be, and there are literally 100 bees a minute flying in and out of that thing, like literally. And from what I've read online, and from what these amateur bee experts have told me in the local area, they say that you've got at least 30,000 bees. I've heard 40,000 bees. I've heard somebody else say that hive underneath there probably weighs 60 pounds. I don't know. All I know is that we have a lot of wildflowers around, and they're loving that. And I'm just not in a giant hurry to mow the grass and deprive them of all that pollen. But they're doing their thing. My daughter plays out in the backyard all the time. She doesn't get right up next to the entrance, obviously, but she's running around the backyard all the time. Yes, the landlord's a nervous wreck. He actually tried to use this aerosol stuff to spray it. He actually took 3 cans, and I was pissed when he did this, but he owns the house, so I can't do anything. Like, he's stuck in his ways, and he's like, no, I gotta get rid of these bees. They're too dangerous. So he like unloaded 3 cans of bee killer like into the entrance. He got stung like 8 times. But see, after all that, after he relentlessly shot at that hive for maybe at least 5 straight minutes worth of aerosol spray into that entrance, he got stung like 8 times. And there was no swarm, there was nothing. But still, on a normal day, like from an hour after the sun comes up until when the sun sets, it's just a constant stream of bees. And I'm telling you, there's a video on my YouTube channel somewhere that shows that. It's crazy. But anyway, I love the bees. I love the bees. That's why I'm not messing with them. They're not messing with anybody else. If my daughter gets stung, then, you know, once is okay. If she gets stung a lot, that's bad. I know, I understand. She is fully well aware of what's back there. She's 13 years old, so I mean clearly she understands, and she does keep her distance, and they've so far been really good back there, but it's not like there's this like giant beehive like up in the sky. I mean, no, it's in this it's in a wood baseboard of what a shed used to be placed onto. So I don't know, but it's pretty crazy. Yeah, we got a beehive in our backyard. Could you imagine that honey? I would love to get to that honey right now. Oh my God, there's probably 15, maybe 20 pounds worth of honey maybe just sitting underneath that right now. Just right there. Take me 20 seconds to walk there. So, whatever. Bees are awesome. Anyway, let me go ahead and get into the articles now. I'm wasting too much time. What am I, an hour into this probably? Wouldn't surprise me. Where does it say? Yeah, almost 54 minutes. Good grief. gonna have to get me a refill here in a minute. So this one, yeah, that's the YouTube COVID-19 webpage. So I'll go ahead and get rid of that. It still is important, I think. Plus, since Google owns YouTube, they plug in a lot of YouTube stuff, which is pretty awesome. Now, Vox sucks. I hope you don't watch Vox because it's full on fake news, just garbage propaganda. But Google leans liberal, and I think I've already proved that with one of my recent videos where I showed you just the page after page after page of news articles and news articles, news articles. It's like leftist, liberal, like on and on and on, just nonstop. It's really frustrating. But anyway, aside from that garbage, they also have some other techniques and stuff, and looks like Dr. Fauci, I think, but no, that's not him. I don't know who that is, but now, social distancing during coronavirus, explained by an expert. Okay, so I will give that to them at least. At least it's not like Orange Man bad content, but I mean, if it's good in nature, it's worth watching, and I'm not going to throw away a Vox video just because it's called a Vox video. 95% of the time, my common sense will tell me to, but if it's something like that, like if they're just showing these lighthearted ways to keep social distancing and keeping your hands clean and stuff like that, I mean, anything is worth watching at this point, to be honest with you. I mean, anything is worth it, no matter what history that they have. So, all right, I'll click out of that, and let's see, I've got some of my links here. Let me just start with the map. I like to start with the map. But I will be honest with you, every day I get more and more nervous because of these numbers. And if you've been watching my videos, I mean, maybe you can go back and make like a day-by-day analysis of what we're, oh my God, 600,000 people. That is sobering, people. That is really sobering. Oh my God, that is freaking scary. Okay, so, well, to put that into perspective, we've almost gained a sixth. I think we've gained over a sixth worth of infected cases in less than 24 hours. Pretty close to 24 hours. So this huge uptick here on the graph, it's only getting further and further apart from the day before. And that is not good, people. I mean, the closer that thing gets to being 90 degrees, the worse it's going to be. It's exponential. Very scary, man. It's really scary. I mean, 6 feet, I don't think it's enough. I think just batten down the hatches, just get yourself in your house, and just do whatever you can to never go to the store, never go out in public, just protect yourself. But I mean, maybe that's not good advice, because maybe if everybody gets infected, yeah, a lot of people are going to lose their lives. A lot of people are going to get very sick. But if it just washes through our country in a short period of time, it could be like a chickenpox type of phenomenon, like with kids. And I've talked about that in a previous video. I mean, back in the late 80s, that's when I got my chickenpox. And it's because one of my cousins got chickenpox, so all the other kids in the family got together with them around the same age group, and we all got chickenpox. It was like a chickenpox party. And not to say that should be a good idea yet, because we don't know enough about this, but I mean, what do you do with this? What do you do with it? It's really scary. I mean, this number is just going to get bigger and faster and faster and faster. And I mean, even if they come out with the vaccine, at this point, you have to give a vaccine to the entire planet. 7 billion vaccines. And I don't know. I mean, it's mind-bending. It's really hard to wrap your head around it. I mean, to me, because of how dangerous it is, I don't want to. I am 35 years old, so, I mean, I might get through it okay. I do vape a lot, so that kind of makes me nervous. But it almost makes you just want to just get it over with, and just move on with your life and not want to have a part of this nightmare anymore. But there's a lot of people, even in my age, there's a lot of people of all ages, unless you're 18 and under, that are dealing with some really, really hard circumstances, especially with your lungs. I mean, for some reason, this virus just, it fills your lungs with fluid, it seems like. It seems like you just get like instant pneumonia. It's crazy. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's scary, but the United States now has over 100,000 cases, 103,000, Italy has now passed China. That's what I was mentioning at the beginning of the video. I was wondering if that happened, and it has. 86,000 cases in Italy, almost 104 in the US. China has been literally the same for like a month now. I mean, come on, China. The world's watching you. The world's watching your numbers. Are you freaking kidding me? China should probably, I mean, like in realistic terms, and I don't have any connection to China. I don't know this, that, and the other that pertains to China. I'm just some little guy that's in the Florida Panhandle in the United States, half a world away from China. But from what I've been hearing in the media, and what I've been hearing from the president, what I've been hearing from everybody else, I mean, China's probably got millions of cases, but they're just keeping it in the dark. And they even had surveillance footage. I don't know how that was made unclassified, but I guess in the country of Iran, sometime in the last week or two, they were somebody. I don't know if it was the U.S., but there was footage, and I didn't see the footage. I only heard about the news of the footage of these like giant ditches that were being dug out where they were putting bodies into. I mean, just really morbid. I mean, I hope that's not true. I mean, I pray to God that's not true, because I mean, this is where it is right now. I mean, if you can, I don't know if you can rewind this clock. I really hope Johns Hopkins allows people to do that, just to get like a sobering perspective of how crazy this is getting, because I'm only seeing it in real time. There might be like a rewind option here where you can go back to last week and the week before and see what the map looked like. Because if you go back 3 days, that's sobering. If you go back 2 weeks, I mean, that'd be enough to make you convinced that, oh my God, yeah, we are completely screwed. I mean, India's got infections now. I mean, India has over 1 billion people there. Uh, it's scary, folks. It's really scary. And I mean, where does it end? I mean, it's just gonna have to sweep across the population. We live in the 21st century. People travel everywhere. This thing spread like wildfire. Just like in what was that movie called? It was like in 2011. Matt Damon was in it. Gwyneth Paltrow was in it. Contagion. I think it was Contagion. Had Lawrence Fishburne in it. He was the doctor for CDC. I mean, like it was now the virus I thought was a little overblown. It's like no matter what, if you get it, your insides are gonna liquefy. You're gonna just be dead within a day. A lot of people are getting killed within a day of getting this. Like when their symptoms come up and they start getting their symptoms, it hits them really fast. And I mean, that movie did not end out, or it didn't end very well at all. And this thing, I'm not saying it's as bad as it. Oh yeah, Kate Winslet, she was in that too. Ironically, I watched that movie like in early to mid-January. I mentioned that in another video somewhere, but crazy. Anyway, that's the map. Let's go to the Dow Jones. Didn't go well today on the stock market. Honestly, it's just a means to an end. It's a matter of time before the Dow Jones is going to drop below 10,000. I mean, given this situation, a month, like imagine this a month from now. That's a real deal, people. We're going to be around for a month. And those of you who are going to be collecting unemployment benefits for 4 months, I mean, you best believe you're going to see what the world's going to look like in 4 months. And it's going to be bad, all right? I am really glad that I have this. And I actually just bought this in early January. And it was just because I got a good paycheck. Christmas time was over. I think January was my 3 paycheck month. So I had just enough to get my AR, and I'm so glad I have it. It is locked and loaded. So I'm just really glad that I've got him or I've got it. Her. That's Betsy. Meet Betsy. And because 4 months from now, I'm telling you, man, 4 months from now, Democrats are gobbling up guns like crazy. California, they're running out of guns like crazy. I mean, the whole country is just gun crazy right now. And guns outnumbered people at the end of last year. They outnumbered individuals in our country. We have more guns than people. Now everybody's in a gun buying frenzy to the point where you can't buy them anywhere right now. Same with ammunition. I mean, if you're still following along, you heard my last videos where I was talking about, oh my God, I really hope that they don't shut down the postal service. I really hope they don't, because I'm waiting on my ammunition. And it came, and I was really happy. I was kind of standoffish about, the firearm that I had because I just don't like revealing too much information out on the internet. But maybe that's kind of a good thing because I have it, I know how to use it, and if you if you want to come try it, come try it. And I've also got another firearm as well that's much easier to handle, but it just depends on how I'm woken up. But anyway, I think everybody should have a firearm right now. And just remember that the Second Amendment allows for a well-regulated militia. So that doesn't mean military. That doesn't mean trained professionals. That means if you get a group of your local neighborhood, and if you organize them all up together, you inventory your weapons, you inventory your ammunition. You don't have to report any of that to the government. You just have to regulate yourself. You just have to, just form a militia, which is a group of citizens, American citizens, that are well armed and willing to protect their neighborhoods or their very localized community. It could even be a statewide thing like the Michigan militia. It could be, that's a really well-regulated militia. And the government can't do a damn thing about it because that's in our Second Amendment of our Bill of Rights in the Constitution. So it's a little late to be talking guns right now because if you wanted a gun, you couldn't find one right now. And I'm telling you, man, that was blind luck. I cannot believe that and honestly, I was rolling the dice. I was like, man, I've got this amount of money for my check. I'm not using this check. I probably should just, I'm stocking up on another thing, but I'm not going to go into that. But I'm trying to save my money and put it away. And I have to some extent, but I was really back and forth with getting my AR or going with what I've been doing for the last couple of years. And it's like, all right, whatever. And I'm really glad I did that because what I was investing in before it doesn't look really good right now at all. It doesn't look good. I hope I get it back. I don't have any plans on doing anything with that investment in the near future. I hope I can give it to my daughter one day, but the way things are looking, the worse it gets, it's pretty much gone. That's why I'm so happy that I went with that, because if I just invested more into what I was investing into, 401k, if you want to know specifically, it's not looking good, people. If you invested in 401k on the stock market, I don't know, man. I'm not telling you to panic and cash out. Don't do that, because once we get over this epidemic, once we get over everything, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, just expect to be alive, expect to be fine, and then expect this country to be the best that it's ever been before. And just know that the entire world is dealing with this situation. Everybody is. 175 countries are dealing with this, and it's an epidemic everywhere on Earth. Even Greenland has 10 cases. Greenland. I didn't even know anybody lived there. I just thought there were a couple of remote military outposts out there or something. But yeah, there's 10 coronavirus cases in Greenland, of all places. So when it's all said and done, the United States it's an extremely rich country, the richest on Earth by far, extremely powerful military, the best in the world. And, with all the resources we have available, we have Alaska with our oil reserves. We just bought a ton of oil from Saudi Arabia. Crude oil is tanking right now. I read somewhere that it's starting to get, it's almost at the point where it's below $40 a barrel. It's insanely low. If you want to put that into perspective, back in 2008, 2009, we were looking at $160 a barrel. No. That's too far. I'm thinking more like 2005. It was 2004, 2005. Crude oil was insanely expensive. It was $160 a barrel. Right now it's 40. And I don't know about the rest of the country, the rest of the world, wherever you are, but right now, if you know the measurement of gallons, because that's how we measure it in the United States for gas, but right now in my area, it's $1.90 a gallon. I didn't think for the rest of my life I'd ever see it below $2. I never did. But alas, it's less than $2. So incredible. So anyway, let me see. I think I might have to take a quick break here. I have to go to the bathroom. Sorry, TMI. Too much information. I hate acronyms. Why the hell did I just say that? I hate acronyms. But anyway, let's see. It's 9:42. I'll get into some extra content. I want to get into the articles. And what I'll do, I'll just go ahead and just pause everything that I'm doing, and then I'll jump right back into it, and we'll just continue it on from there. So here we go. All right, I'm back, everyone. and to you it was just a flash. But to me, I had to take a few minute break, use the restroom, and I'm just going to get straight into the articles here. I did get into a little bit, got into the map, the Dow Jones. I don't think I got into yet, did I? 21,636.78, dropped 4%, dropped 900 points. Like I said, it's a means to an end. It's just going to keep going down and down and down. I doubt it'll hit zero. Probably won't. I know that they have caps on these kind of things, like if it's falling too fast or too far too fast kind of thing, that they'll kind of cut off the market for 15 minutes and then they'll let it resume. It's not going to stop the bleeding. This is all a means to an end, folks. It's all a means to an end. And it's just, you know, where does it quit? This thing is going to transform our economy. It's going to transform everything. And like I said, you got to pick up a trade. You got to pick up something that's a realistic job that we're going to be needing a year from now. Just try as best as you can. You might have to meditate on it or something if you don't really know where you want to go, if you've lost your job recently, like in a restaurant or something. I mean, yes, restaurants are coming back. It's not like that they're gone forever. Obviously, they're coming back. But as long as this virus is all over the place, they're not going to come back because nobody's going to trust going to them. And it's not about the food. I'm sure they trust the food full-heartedly. It's just the other customers around them they're not going to trust. The menus that they touch, the condiments they touch, the salt and pepper shakers, the chair that they push in or that they pull out and then they pull in underneath them and all that. I mean, do restaurants really? I mean, honestly, seriously. I mean, I think about this stuff. I have a degree of OCD, way before this even started. I've thought about this my whole adult life. When you go into a restaurant, they show you your table, and you go in, and let's say you're not sitting at a booth. Let's say that you're sitting at, a middle table where you have actually freestanding chairs. When you lay your jacket on the chair, or if you're just going to go and grab the chair and slide it underneath you, do you think that the restaurant actually sanitizes the underneath part of that chair? Do you think that they really wipe down all that stuff? Like, not just the top part of the chair where you set your jacket on. I'm sure they probably wipe those top parts down. But do you think that they actually wipe the part where the average person grabs the chair to tuck it underneath them? I've worked at restaurants before. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but I've been a busser before, and that's usually the person who does the cleaning of the items around the table. And where I worked at, they didn't do that. They didn't do that at all. We wiped down the tabletop. We didn't even touch the chairs, to be honest with you. I don't know if they have like a custodial crew that might come in late at night. I doubt it, because they usually shut the building down when I left at night. I'm just saying, I don't know. I mean, if you have a restaurant job right now, I mean, you're going to be furloughed for a long time, and you're going to have to find something else. And I hope 4 months is enough time. I hope you can ride out your unemployment. I swear, I really hope that happens. Because anybody who is working in the restaurant industry, you do deserve this. And it's my taxpayers that's going towards this. Because I work in an office building. I work for the medical industry. We are considered among the second most essential job market in the country right now when it's pertaining to a virus outbreak. Number one is police, and I think they throw firefighters in with police. It's like emergency response. That's number one in this country right now. They are the most essential workers. The second one, which is a huge umbrella term, but it's the medical industry. It's the medical workers, which can involve all kinds of people. So, and I've given you a brief on what I do in a previous video. So if you're interested, you can look it up. But trust me, it's very essential. I mean, people rely on what I deliver during my job, which could be a matter of life or death. So, but because of the advancement in my company over the last year, or maybe even 2 years, it may have been going back that far. But they were supposed to be sending all of us at home, work from home, by the end of this summer. Well, because coronavirus was looming back in, it was like January, early February, I think our top executives were trying to see if they could fast track it a little bit, just in case. I mean, we are in the medical industry, so we are good at tracking this kind of thing. So they tried to fast track it up to May, and then this thing just hit us out of nowhere. It didn't. It didn't at all. It was coming. That's why I prepared back in February, because I already saw it coming. But whatever. Well, that's for, another conversation. Um, but essentially, they took 6 months of slowly rolling out one employee after the next to work from home, and they're doing all of that within 2 weeks. So today's Friday. This time next Friday, which will be April the 3rd. That will be my last day in the workplace. And following the next Monday, what is that, the 6th? I will be working from home. That's when I will begin my work from home schedule. I mean, our boss is trying to downplay it. He really is. Because there's a lot of nervous people. I mean, we've got boyfriends, girlfriends, husband, wives, relatives. We've got people in these industries where they're furloughing workers by the millions. So it's a thin ice kind of situation, because we're thankful that we still have a job, and we're thankful that our job is essential in a pandemic like this. But I mean, at least me, I understand that the job that I have right now is going to be extremely sought after within a few weeks. And I mean that, like, once they send us home, we can't be screwing up at home. Like, we've got to be an absolute A+++ style worker at home. I mean, because if not, like I said in the last video, my boss told us that there's at least 5, because there's 42 people that I work with right now. 5 people that had moved on to other jobs are asking for their old job back. And I swear to you, I'm not swearing. I mean, let me just drop that. But I could almost guarantee that at least 3 of those 5 people had left there within the last 6 months. Because our turnover rate, I can't throw it out as an average, because we do have many people that have been there for years. But I would say we probably there's probably a person that leaves our group of 42 maybe every month, maybe once a month, and then they bring on somebody else. It's a fairly revolving door type of situation. It's high stress. I mean, the phone calls that we answer, a lot of people are mad because they're not getting the information they need, so they take it out on us, and we just have to take it because we're a contracted company. So it is what it is. It is high stress. But 6 months from now, it's a paycheck. I'll bet you somebody who's dealing with bill collection, 2 months ago, they were probably like, "Why? Like, just kill me now." I mean, this job is like, it's destroying my life. Talk about a soul-sucking job. This thing has got to be so emotionally draining. It's got to be incomprehensible. But I'm telling you what, if you have a bill collector's job in 6 months from now, you're going to be whistling Dixie, because you're going to be getting that money, getting that paycheck, and you're not going to be having to live in a place where there's like 20 other people living in a house that you're going to have to be huddled around with, because there's only a few people working and everybody just happens to be close relatives. I don't know where I'm going with that. I hope it doesn't get that desperate. That's like, that's some really hard times. I forgot the camera was there. I keep looking back at the monitor. But anyway, it's just... it's got me really nervous. It's got me scared, man. If you got kids, you got to be scared too for your kids, because, I mean, what are they going to be looking at in a couple of years? We don't know. I mean, and it's not just our country. I mean, I don't want to sound thankful for that, but if this was only happening in the United States, I mean, I'm telling you what, the wrath of the world would come down on us for sure. And it's not because we did anything wrong necessarily. I mean, we're supposed to be trying to spread freedom, prosperity, patriotism to the whole world. And that's what we've been trying to do. Some countries don't want to play ball. Some countries want to fight against us. The Middle East has been a mess, but they have been for thousands of years. But, it is what it is. But I hate that term. But what are you going to do? So this is a worldwide thing. So since yes, the ones that are highest up on the mountain are the ones that are going to be crashing down the hardest. Yes, I understand that. So there's going to be a lot of countries that this disease will sweep through, and they'll come out okay. And it's going to be namely maybe the second world countries and maybe some of the lower lying first world countries. The third world countries, my worry is that the hospitals, the facilities, the medical care, the testing, I mean, if something happens to them that's just a byproduct of coronavirus, they're probably not going to have the medical care or the pharmacy or just the treatment that they would need to survive whatever side effect that they're dealing with coronavirus. And it could decimate an entire country, especially in the third world. So, I mean, that's very alarming. I think that's why India is shutting down so fast. And that's not a third world country by any means. I mean, India's economy is insanely high right now. I'm sure that a lot of those thanks could be given to NAFTA that President Clinton had put through, which essentially, allowed the entire world to take advantage of all the jobs that were in the U.S. That's for another video. I know. I'm sorry. I really don't want to get political. It's just my mind just wanders sometimes. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we can get through it. It just worries me with my daughter. I mean, she's only 13, man. I mean, what the hell? I mean, maybe this is an every 100-year thing, because the last big one was in 1917, almost 100 years to the year. I mean, pretty close. All I got to say is that China, I'm not saying that the forces of the world should come down and obliterate China. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that China needs to get their asses regulated or something. Something needs to happen with China in the wake of this, because this could have all been prevented. If they had the same standards in China that they had in I mean, I don't know about any other country but the United States, but I know that we have the USDA, which certifies our meat, our cattle industry, our poultry industry, our food industry as a whole, and it just makes sure that it's healthy enough to serve to the people that this food is going out to. Clearly, China has nothing like that. I mean, if they're out there, like out in the woods somewhere around some caves that bats are flying into, and they're capturing bats and they're bringing them into these markets where people are actually buying them to eat, I mean, I'm not going to downgrade anybody's style of eating whatsoever. You eat what you get. I mean, I understand that. I mean, I grew up pretty poor, but I know that there's a whole next level of poor below what I grew up in. But I mean, I'm not going to get into all that. I mean, I grew up in a pretty crazy circumstance for a brief period of time, but yes, I do understand that there's a scarce food supply in some parts of the world. They just have to make do with what they have. I do understand that. But what I can't get over is the fact that China has the second largest economy on earth. I know that they have a lot of people in that country, over 1 billion people, maybe over 2 billion people. I think that's more accurate, right? I think it's probably 2 billion people. But with that being said, with the economy, how big that economy is, I mean, you're still letting these diseases out of your country that just decimates the world like it is. I mean, that's insane. And some studies are suggesting, and it could be propaganda, I don't know, but they're saying that maybe even the 1917 Spanish flu may have originated in China. We don't know. They're apparently, from what I've heard, I'm not going to translate this as fact because I only heard what I heard, but they said the only reason that it was called the Spanish flu is because the king of Spain at the time contracted it, and I think he died or something like that. Or at the very least, he contracted it, and that's when it became widely known as the Spanish flu, because the king of Spain caught this flu and either almost died or he did die as a result or whatever, but I guess the name stuck and it became Spanish flu, but whatever. Anyway, I'll go ahead and read a couple of these articles. I know I'm dragging this stuff on. Maybe I should be doing less articles and more just my perspective, because I waste a lot of time just talking. But maybe I'm just talking hot air. Just leave it in the comments if you're annoyed by me just like talking off topic like that. Let me know. But that's just kind of how I am. I mean, I see something and I just go off in tangents and I try to bring it back full circle, but I don't know. Sometimes I might get a little lost in my thoughts. But anyway, that's the Dow Jones. But I'll try to stick a little bit more specifically to what's going on here. So going straight to the first article, which is coming out of CNBC, the U.S. coronavirus cases top 100,000, which doubles in 3 days. Okay, people, now is the time to be very, very concerned. Not time to panic. Never is there a time to panic. Never is there a time to panic. Not at all. What you need to do, 6 feet minimum, social distancing, and a little bit more of social distancing, for sure. Just stay away from other people you don't know. You don't know what their hand washing habits are. I think it's safe to assume in the United States, everybody takes a shower more or less, every day. Even once a week is probably pretty high on the global standard. To get a really clean, shower once a week, I'm sure that's pretty solid. The average American probably takes more than one shower per week. I'm sure we could assume that to be true. But that's not the point. The point is, somebody that you're going to walk past in public, you don't know them from Adam. You don't know them at all. So you just have to assume that they're not clean. Now, the perspective that I've been taking lately, especially with work, I am assuming that everybody else has coronavirus, and that includes myself. So if you assume that you have coronavirus, you have to take the initiative to prevent your disease from getting out to all the people that you love around you. And that's the way you need to treat this. And that's the best way that you can explain it. You have to assume everybody around you has it, and you're trying to protect yourself from getting it. But at the same time, because there are people who don't have any symptoms when they have it, you have to assume this, especially if you're healthy or if you have a good track record for a good immune system, that you've got to assume that you have it. And if you don't take care of your hands and you don't take care of the objects around you, doorknobs and handles and whatnot, then what you have, you might be giving to people around you that might make them very sick. So it's a two-way street right there. So you have to assume everybody, including yourself, is ill. Because if people keep ignoring that, this doubling in 3 days, it's never going to slow down. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse. Worse and worse. Double, 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 double. Check this out. Okay, so let me do this. I'm just going to indulge myself here just for a minute. You can follow along if you want to. So right now we're at 100,000. Now let's say we double it in 2 days. Or 3 days. I'm sorry. That's 3 days from now. Okay? That's 6 days from now. That's 9 days from now. That's 12 days from now. That's 15 days from now. That's 18 days from now. 21 days from now. 24 days from now. 27 days from now. Is this getting alarming enough? A month from now. That's a month from now. If this virus continues to double every 3 days. Oh, wait. I think I did that wrong, didn't I? No, I didn't. Because I was doing it times 2 for every 3 days. So by the time it gets to day 30 from where we are now, if it doubles every 3 days, if that's true, and if it keeps doubling every 3 days, it gets twice as much every 3 days. It starts small. It's like, okay, whatever, 200,000 and whatever, 400,000. Okay, we have 330 million people in this country. A couple 100,000, that's okay. But if you follow the logic, and if it doubles every 3 days, then that is the number you're looking at a month from now, 30 days from now. This time next month in mid-April, or actually at the end of April, you could be seeing a third of the United States infected with this thing. So this whole sitting around for 4 months, that's probably the idea that the government is trying to push. They're trying to tell you to stay inside for 4 months because there you go. Because if it's business as usual, the whole country could get infected. But it sounds devastating because this is a dangerous disease. But are we holding it back? Are we going to hold back a tide? Which, in essence, you can't hold back. You can't hold back a tide. Okay? And this tide is not going away. So eventually you have to let go and just let it rush through. I can't think of any other better way to put it. But sounds to me like, by and large, we just have to let it sweep through. We have to get through it physically, personally, on every level, and just hope that we survived on the other side. And let's hope that what they're saying in China right now is not true, that once you get the virus, it keeps coming back, or you get a mutated version of it or whatever. They don't even know. But I'm not going to get into that right now because it's too early and I don't want to freak people out too much, but there's some interesting stuff going on in China that I'm going to have to wait on because I'm not sure if that's true because we don't know anything that's coming out of China. I mean, it's all full on propaganda at its best. And when you're starting to hear doom and gloom stuff coming out of China, it's probably just, American fake news journalists that are trying to fabricate something that might not even be true. So I'm not even going to play their game. I don't know, but let's just hope that the news that I heard and maybe you heard or maybe not heard is not true. But I won't leave you completely hanging. But I will say that it has to do with people getting infected more than once. But we don't know that. I don't think there is a disease, at least in modern history, where if you catch it, you have it forever. I mean, yes, okay, yeah, hepatitis C. I know there are some. But this isn't hepatitis. It's I don't know. I don't even know what it is. What the hell am I talking about? But uh, I don't know. Anyway, I'll go ahead and move on to the next one here. I just wanted to point out the obvious here is that they doubled this number in 3 days, and I remember this. You remember this 3 days ago? I did a video 3 days ago. We were hitting 50,000, and I was like, oh, here we go. Here's the big milestone, 50,000. We hit 50,000. Now we just hit 100,000. And guess what? By Monday night, when you see this next video that I'm going to do on Monday night, it'll probably say 200,000. And I hope and pray to God that it doesn't, because as long as it keeps doubling like that, that means people are not keeping their distance. People are not practicing social distancing. And it sounds crazy, but you've got to stay away from your family. You've got to stay away from your friends. I mean, like I talked about my best friend that lives just down the street from me. His girlfriend is a nurse, and she's a nurse for the emergency room. I haven't asked lately, so she might have been transferred to somewhere else in the hospital, but I'm sure by now she's probably right back to where she was. But she works third shift. She puts in 40 hours a week in just 3 nights, and, it makes me nervous. I mean, I'd love to see my best friend. I haven't seen him in over a month. I haven't seen him in a couple of months, but I don't want to be as quick to invite him over and be like, hey, come on over, just hang out. Let's have a couple beers, whatever, just chill. Because he could potentially be exposed to coronavirus by proxy through his girlfriend, who is a nurse at a major hospital in our local area. So, I mean, it's mind-boggling. But the best thing you can do is just keep yourself away from everybody else. I mean, yeah, you can speculate 10 years from now, like what's going to be like. Nobody's ever going to shake hands anymore. Who cares? Who cares? Just know that if you shake hands without thinking about it, you could expose yourself to potential death, really, because a lot of people are dying from this thing. So, I mean, it's freaking scary, man. This thing is going to tank our economy in ways we've never seen before. I mean, I honestly believe we're looking at Great Depression stuff. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. I'm not trying to dramatize anything. And I really would be reluctant to say this. Just wait and see. Come back in 6 months and then tell me that I was right. I hope that's not right. I hope I'm so wrong. I hope that destroys my channel forever. I've got like 1,200 subscribers. Trust me, it took me years to get that, and I'm really proud of that. I thought that was awesome. Like, oh my God, I got 1,200 subscribers. That's awesome. I mean, it really means a lot. But if I lost all that, everything that I've uploaded to YouTube and the work that I put into YouTube, which is not substantial, but, if it all disappeared because I was wrong about that, then, oh my God. I mean, the trillions of dollars and the countless hundreds of thousands of lives that would have been saved by getting this thing under control and that not proving true, another Great Depression, then, oh my God. Yeah, gladly will admit that I'm wrong. But right now, on the 27th of March, it's not looking like that. It really isn't. I mean, it's looking like this thing's getting out of control. But before it gets any crazier, let's go ahead and move on to the next article. That would be number 4. The House approves the bill. $2 trillion. It's actually 2.2, I think. Maybe 2.4. I think it's $2.2 trillion. Members are struggling with the infection. So, yeah, we'll get to this guy. I actually support what he did, believe it or not. Yes, he's a Republican. It's not because I support him because he's a Republican. And I'll even show you my voters. No, I can't because that has my address on it. But I'm not a Republican. I'm a no party affiliate. I go with common sense where I should be going, where everybody should be going. But anyway, let me read this. After weeks of negotiations, Congress approved its $2 trillion coronavirus relief package on Friday. But that measure's final approval was threatened by the same virus that made it necessary. Over the past few weeks, more than 30 lawmakers have been exposed to the novel coronavirus or shown some degree of symptoms that had led them to self-quarantine. But so far, only 3 have tested positive for the virus, including Representatives Mario Diaz-Balart, Republican of Florida, sorry, lost my line, and Ben McAdams, Democrat of Utah, and Senator Rand Paul, Republican of Kentucky. The COVID-19 pandemic has renewed calls from some lawmakers for congressional leadership to allow remote voting. According to blah, 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 the Constitution does require a majority of members to establish a quorum to vote. That's the 538, by the way. I guess I got to give them a shout out. But it's the House and Senate's own rules that require lawmakers to be physically present to cast their votes. So far, congressional leaders like Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican of Kentucky, and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat of California, had opposed total remote voting. The Senate already allows members to vote on behalf of others in committee, known as proxy voting, and Pelosi has entertained changes to the rules that may allow proxy votes on the House floor in the future. But none of those House rules were in effect when the House voted on Friday's relief package. Still, many lawmakers stayed home to protect themselves from infection as congressional leaders nailed down the specifics of the deal on which the House planned to vote on Friday morning. House leaders sought to pass the measure by voice vote, a seldom used procedure that doesn't require the entire chamber to be present for passage. Those plans changed after Representative Thomas Massie, Republican of Kentucky, told a local radio station on Thursday that he planned to object that vote and requested a recorded tally, meaning 216 members needed to be present, threatening to delay an already delayed stimulus package. The galleries in the House of Representatives, in the House, the galleries above, the balconies that hang above the House floor, were opened up so more members could filter in while maintaining the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's guidance of 6 feet of distance between one another. Hoyer's office told lawmakers outside of D.C. that they could record their own video statements that would be aired on C-SPAN during primetime hours next week, and also on social media. They might be airing that. So I saved this because the person who blocked that, the person who said that everybody has to come in and actually hit that button, yes, no, or not, or just present. There's yes, there's no, and there's present. The reason behind his logic for doing this, and I think it's a brilliant idea, honestly, and they conveniently didn't talk about it, was that this Congress member, who is, hold on, let me get his name real quick, Representative Thomas Massie, he wanted to actually call people in for a vote, not because of the coronavirus panic, not because he wanted to expose people. It didn't have anything to do with all that. He wanted to bring people in because it would get their names on the books for voting for this $2.2 trillion spending bill, by far the largest in American history. And he was worried that if people were not voting, by button on their table, instead, if they were voting, they were just voting by voice, Nancy Pelosi would just simply write down in the record saying that the yays have it, and that's it, with no names recorded. He makes a really good point because there's a lot of garbage in this bill, including a $25 million amount of money that's going to the Kennedy Center for Performing Arts in Washington, D.C. Are you freaking kidding me? This whole economy could be crashing in the next couple of months. Millions, 3.3 million people filed for unemployment just in the last couple of weeks. And they want to send $25 million to the Kennedy Center for Performing Arts in Washington, D.C. Now I understand why he wanted everybody's name on record. Every single person that could turn out to get this vote passed, because the ones that didn't show up are freaking cowards, or they're exposed to coronavirus and they're excused. But the ones who didn't show up, they're cowards because they didn't put their name on the record. There were, let's see, what was it, 216? Let me look up the number here again. I lost it. Where's the number? I think it was like 216 votes. I'm not seeing it, but I think it's 216. I can't see it. I don't know where it is, but I'm just gonna assume it is. But they needed at least half of the House to show up to vote for it because he demanded like a physical presence to vote on this, which is in the rules. It's in the rules that you have to be there to vote for it, but they do have proxy voting stipulations. And yes, Nancy Pelosi, she is the Speaker of the House. And I think the minority leader of the House, if they get together and they could like formulate whatever rules they want. But I think that was a very admirable thing that he did, because years from now, when our kids and our grandkids are paying for all this, they're probably going to want to know who's responsible for all that garbage, like the freaking Kennedy Center. Are you kidding me? $25 million. And then you get crazy Ocasio-Cortez who wants to start to dish out billions of dollars to people who don't even live in the United States, or people who illegally snuck into this country to get health care. We have to set aside a certain amount of this $2 trillion amount for people, or they call them undocumented citizens. Undocumented citizens. That's how politically correctly stupid we've gotten. They are illegal aliens. They are not supposed to be here. And, I love immigrants just like the next conservative. Everybody likes immigrants. I mean, most of us came from immigrants. My family came here from the United States. It was before the Revolutionary War, where my oldest ancestor that I could trace back to this country, Justin, last name. My last name is a very rare last name, so it wasn't hard to find him. But still, the vast majority of us has ancestors that came from somewhere else outside the United States. So immigration is essential to this country. But there is a process. People have to come in the right way. There are probably millions of people around the world that are just waiting on this lottery system, which I think is ridiculous in and of itself, but they're trying to get in. When you get people just jumping across the border and just running into the United States, that's not fair. It's not fair to those immigrants who should be coming in here. Immigrants from Africa and from Asia and from Europe and Australia and South America, just wherever. It's not fair. It really isn't. It's not fair. So, I mean, I guess that's my 2 cents on that. I didn't really plan on going there, but I don't think we should be giving our hard-earned taxpayer dollars, the taxpayer dollars that our children and our grandchildren are going to have to pay for. And I know I sound just like the other person back in 2008, 2009, during the bailout package and all that crap, the stimulus bill and all that nonsense. It's the same thing. Like, oh, well, our grandchildren's going to have to pay for this. But they are. Before all this happened, we were almost $23 trillion in debt. And that debt's not going away. It's going to be there until the cows come home. All right? It's not going away. And after all this is said and done, they're saying $6 trillion right now. $28 trillion. One thing that I loved about President Trump before he became president was that he said he was going to fight to try to start attacking the national debt. I was so happy to hear that. Because $22 trillion, do you know what that would do to the American dollar? Like, okay, so back in the day, we used to back our economy by gold. Okay, so the entire value of the dollar was backed by gold. It was like a gold standard note or whatever they said on the dollar bill. Now it's called Federal Reserve note, which means that it's freaking worthless. Technically, it's not. Technically, the dollar has weight in the world because it's like the leading currency on earth. But if you back it by gold would be worth $78,000 an ounce. I mean, I heard that number about 10 years ago. I'm sure it's wildly more expensive now. But last I heard that if you were to back every dollar with gold, either the dollar would hyperinflate or the value of gold would hyperinflate. And if you wanted to keep gold, or if you wanted to keep the American economy the same way it is now, where it costs like $2 for a bag of bread, costs $1.50 for a 2-liter, costs a couple bucks for a gallon of gas, just those types of things. If you wanted to keep the American dollar the same that it is right now, then you would have to jack up the value of gold to $78,000 an ounce. If you want to put it into perspective, an ounce of gold right now is about $1,400 an ounce. So you do the math. Insane. I don't know. Yeah, These tangents, man, I'm telling you. You know what? I should just I should pick 3 articles and be done with it. Because, oh man, I got a lot more to go. Oh man, this is frustrating. This whole situation is just beyond frustrating. I'm ready for Fox News. And this next one here, Trump invokes the Defense Production Act to force GM to make ventilators after stalled talks. Because GM said that they were going to make 80,000 ventilators, and then all of a sudden they wanted to get to a point where they're only making like 8,000 or so ventilators, and now they want to ask like top dollar, like 50 grand per ventilator or something stupid like that. But anyway, I don't think I highlighted any of this, did I? No? Well, all right, let's see if I can get to the meat of this really quickly. President Trump said Friday that he had directed HHS, the Secretary Alex Azar, to require GM to make ventilators under the Defense Production Act to combat the virus after negotiations with the automaker had stalled. And the quote from Trump says, our negotiations with GM regarding its ability to supply ventilators has been productive, but our fight against the virus is too great to allow the give and take of the contracting process to continue to run its normal course, Trump said in the statement, adding, GM was wasting time. Experts say the U.S. is hundreds of thousands of breathing machines short of what it is likely going to need to treat a rapidly rising number of COVID-19 patients. And then they talk about Michigan, New York, Louisiana. We already know they're out of control with what they need for ventilators, but I want to get to the numbers here. As usual, I'm down here now. So, quote, as usual with this General Motors, things just never seem to work out. They said they were going to give us 40,000 much needed ventilators, quote, very quickly. Now they're saying it will only be 6,000 in late April, and they went top dollar. I don't know if it's in this article. Yeah, here you go. Ventec ventilators, which are portable and can handle intensive care patients, cost about $18,000 each, Brooks said. That's much cheaper than the more sophisticated ventilators used by hospitals that can cost up to $50,000. So going up here, the tweets were an apparent response to a New York Times report that a $1 billion deal between the White House and GM was called off. The contract would have allowed the production of 80,000 ventilators. So maybe if you're good with math, you might be trying to plug those two in, but yeah, if you divide 80,000 with 1 billion, it comes up to it's like $14,000, $15,000 per ventilator, which I thought was like, you got to be freaking kidding me. But then I saw this, like average 18,000 for the portable ones, and then it can go up to 50. So, the medical industry is hyper inflated, but whatever. So I think the president did a good thing with that. He needs to invoke the act. He needs to force our companies to produce what we need to survive. We don't need cars right now. We need ventilators. We need medicine. We need a vaccine. We need anything that it takes to minimize the amount of time that we're going to spend in this situation. And honestly, if the United States develops the vaccine, we have to be in a race for this, because if another country develops that vaccine, how much are they going to charge for it? How much are they going to charge the United States for each vaccine? Because they're going to patent it. They will. And it's going to cost like $1,000 per dose of this vaccine if somebody like China, could you imagine if China actually successfully develops a vaccine of coronavirus before anybody else does? Trust me, the United States has to be the country to do it, because if they're not, it is going to cost an exorbitant amount of money. The whole world is going broke. Europe is going bust. Africa is, they're already in dire straits. They're now completely infected with coronavirus, by and large. Country by country, not person by person, but it's starting to hit them. India is starting to get overflooded with coronavirus. They've shut down their country by and large. You get Japan, you get South Korea. All these countries, all these developed countries around the world, they are going belly up with their economy, and they're doing what they can to contribute to making a vaccine. But anybody who actually is able to pull through with the vaccine, and if it's not the United States, I'm telling you, man, they are going to be worldwide greedy as hell with it. And if it ends up being China, then God help us. But if the United States comes up with it first, or if we collaborate with another country to come up with it first, and we are directly involved with its distribution or its production, or even even I don't want to say concoction, like the inception of the vaccine, then we would be able to distribute it around the world for a very low price. Because the United States, if we come up with that all on our own for a vaccine for coronavirus, and we're ready to pass it off to the rest of the world, yes, we're going to make sure that we're okay first. That's kind of the fruits, the fruits of your labor when it comes to producing something first, that you and your citizens get to enjoy it first. But when it comes to the rest of the world, if the United States comes up with this vaccine and puts it out there, I would not be surprised if the United States just gives it out for free and the taxpayer has to foot the bill for it, because that's just what the United States does. I mean, we give out tons of money all the time. We gave like we gave the country Panama like $180 million last year for whatever it was called, like a government stimulus fund or something stupid like that. Like we give so much money to the rest of the world. It is unbelievable. I cannot believe that. If we never let a dime of our money leave this country's borders, we would be so astronomically rich right now. It would be, it would be like the freaking Hunger Games. It'd be like the United States is the capital and the rest of the world are all the districts. And 9 out of the 10 of these different areas of the world would be like District freaking 13. Okay? So I don't know. Yeah, whatever. It makes me feel old, I think, because what was that, 2012 when Hunger Games came out? Something like that. I mean, a lot of kids probably don't even know what that is these days. Anyway, let me go ahead and go to the next article. So that was the Fox News one. I'm going by logos here. It's just easier to space them off here, but I won't get into this very much, but blood from people who recovered from the coronavirus could provide a treatment. They say that if you have O positive blood, that you, at least by statistics, you could be the most susceptible, or not susceptible, but you could be the most immune to coronavirus based on your blood type. People with type A blood tend to be the most susceptible to coronavirus, most at risk. Not sure. They're still doing studies on it. I have O positive blood, so I mean, as far as that goes, I was kind of happy to hear that for my own personal thing. But O positive blood is insanely common throughout the world. I mean, it's by far the most common blood type. So if there's any blood type that can resist this, I hope it's O. Not just for my sake, but for humanity's sake. Blood from people who recover from the virus could provide a treatment, and what they're doing is that they're people who have recovered from coronavirus. They want them to go into plasma clinics, and they want to draw the plasma out of them, and then they want to take their plasma, which plasma is the liquid in between your blood cells and your veins. So when they pump this stuff out of you, they put your blood through a machine. It separates your individual blood cells from your plasma. They pump your blood cells back into your body, makes your blood thicker, obviously, but then they keep the plasma. You get better. I mean, I've donated plasma many times. I mean, it makes you feel lightheaded. You kind of feel kind of groggy for the rest of the day, but it's for the greater good. But I mean, at least the clinic I went to, they gave me $15 every time I went. I'm telling you, I've been poor. So yeah, donating plasma many times. Actually, like my vein here, it's collapsed a couple of times. So they've had to go back and forth. Actually, once they hit me. I had a scar there for a while. I don't know if it's there anymore, but yeah, I mean they've actually, because when you go to give plasma, they give you a giant needle. I mean, it's big, and I've donated plasma many times, but it's just But if you've had coronavirus, they apparently really want you to donate plasma and let them know so they can give your plasma to somebody who has it, because it's starting to look like that it might be helping. And they've done this with past pandemics and before. They've done this with flu. They've done it with polio. They've done it with other ones, which this article definitely explains. This is the Washington Post. It's Washington Post. It gives the date, /health/ the date, coronavirus serum plasma treatment. I'm sure you could just plug this in. Blood from people, Washington Post. It'll come right up. But yeah, they're hoping that will
allow some people to prolong their lives to the point where they can get over coronavirus and then really live the rest of their lives. So if you've gotten over coronavirus, you need to be donating your plasma, especially if you have type A blood. Big time. Type A. So let's go on to number 7. Sorry. My apologies. So you remember when I was talking about the whole thing with using those 4 months of unemployment to try to find something to do? Here we go. The coronavirus pandemic may be loosening links in the supply chain. Notice something familiar? Big rigs, trucks. Truckers, warehouse workers, and cargo handlers, all in a vast network, find themselves one endless day after the next getting food, medicine, and yes, toilet paper to customers. The complex supply logistics of our 21st century world face a gathering storm, even as reliance on those supply chains become more critical in the worst public health crisis in generations. We're still trying to figure out the new normal right now, says Kathy Fulton, executive director of the American Logistics Aid Network. We've not yet gotten to a place of stability. Worried customers have been buying up household basics at 2 to 3 times the normal rate. This has meant truckers and warehouse crews have been pounding energy drinks and ibuprofen to move products so we can stay home and flatten the curve. And maybe meth. Maybe. I don't know. I've seen a lot of cops. I know truckers take meth because it will keep them jacked and wired and just full on focus. Now, I'm not saying that truckers are meth heads. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's hugely frowned upon to do that. But I'm just saying that amphetamines is a way to stay awake for a long period of time, according to what I've seen on the show Cops, which it should account for nothing because that is by no means any kind of source of education in an official in an official capacity of any point. But like looking back to World War II, a lot of soldiers were on amphetamines to stay awake, to stay charged, to stay jacked. Some of our fighter pilots back in World War II. I don't know if they still use the same practice today, but during war times, during dogfights, during like full-on battles and bomb droppings and stuff, like when they have to keep those guys laser light focused, flying these planes from the U.S. and dropping bombs over another country that might be a 12-hour trip away, they need them to be laser light focused. Now, like back then, it was in the 40s and Korean War being in the 50s and Vietnam. I'm sure they did the same thing with bombing runs and stuff, but like amphetamines, like that's something that the government used to keep military soldiers awake when they were in extremely expensive planes, as an example. But I'm just saying, I mean, I'm not faulting truckers for occasionally having to dabble in a little bit of amphetamines because I'm sure it keeps you awake. I've never had meth. I've never had amphetamines. I've done the research. I've looked it up. Yeah, I mean, there was a period of time that I had kidney issues, and I'm not going to do that right now, but I do have scars on my stomach that shows where my kidney was repaired because they used laparoscopic surgery to repair a urethropelvic junction obstruction in my left kidney. Basically, it means that my kidney was filling up with fluid, my pee, and it wasn't draining fast enough. It was swelling up too much. It was causing kidney stones, and I was passing kidney stones in my late 20s, and it was a nightmare, and I had to go to the hospital. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and I finally got out of there, recovered after 6 weeks, and long story short, knock on wood, kidney stones. Okay, yeah, hopefully a thing of the past. But for about a year, I was on constant painkillers, and I'm not talking like just hydrocodone. That's what they started me with. Then I went on Percocet. I was on Percocet for a while, and then they put me on full-on oxycodone. And then, because I live in Florida, and this was back in 2008, 2009, 2010, that was during the whole pill mill epidemic that I had no idea about. So I was going into these doctor's offices because I thought I was getting a good deal. I was like, oh, wow, okay, $150. You can go in here and see a doctor. I didn't have health insurance. So I went in there and I had stacks of stuff. I had films. I had IVPs done. You can look that up. That's when they inject dye into your, I don't know if it was your blood or whatever, but it lit up my kidneys and stuff. I mean, I had a lot of stuff done. Tons of CT scans done. Because I'd gone to the emergency room several times because my kidney was hurting all the time. But yeah, they put me on these strong ass painkillers because I was going to the wrong places because I didn't have medical insurance to go to a well-renowned doctor in the area. Instead, I was going to a clinic where they're like, well, hey, you can come in here and get all the pain relief you want for $150. So I'm just saying that I've done my homework when it comes to addiction because, I was an unfortunate soul when it came to addiction in the late 2000s in the state of Florida. You can look up pill mill epidemic. Most of those people were like full on homeless drug addicts or just drug addicts or, whatever you want to label them. But there were some of us who couldn't afford insurance, who made $10 an hour, who worked full time, and I could not afford insurance. And, I mean, I was probably $200,000 in medical debt at one point until it just started dropping off. And, I feel awful for it, but I just couldn't afford medical insurance. And, I don't know if it'll show up, but, I got a scar there. I don't know if it's going to show it or not. There's another one there. There's another one there. That's my third one. There were 5. There were 5 10 years ago. This was done on June 10th of 2010. That's when I got my surgery. There's another one somewhere in the hair of my belly button, but it was a laparoscopic surgery. They fixed my urethropelvic junction obstruction in my left kidney, and it was all fine. Recovered good. Got off the pills right away. As soon as I recovered after the 6 weeks of recovery, I had a stent in my ureter. That really sucked. Especially when I had to go to the doctor's office without insurance, so I couldn't be sedated for this. But they actually took something that was the size of a big pin. They jammed it up my pee hole. I am a man, so yeah, you can picture that. All the way through that, all the way into my bladder, all the way up through my bladder up to where my ureter is, and then they grabbed my stent that was holding the tube open from my kidney to my bladder, and they pulled this tube from there out through my bladder, through my pee hole, and okay, yeah, the rest is history. But anyway, I know TMI, too much information, but when it comes to meth, I know nothing about meth, know nothing about amphetamines. I've never had them before, but I'm just saying, going back to the history that I had with my dependency on certain things, I could understand why people would want to take those substances because from what I've read in years past, it seems that amphetamines can keep you awake for days and you don't even feel tired, apparently. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying that truckers these days need to be put on them. I'm just saying that, the system's overloaded and, people are bulk buying like crazy right now. And you either solve it with one of two ways. You could either, do what they do in the military with fighter jets and with planes that are flying for 24 straight hours and people are piloting them by themselves like B-2 bombers and stuff and whatever. Or, you can supply truckers the same way that you're doing with that, or you can just hire more of them, which would suit the rest of us by and large who don't have jobs right now. Get your CDL, start driving a semi-truck. That's got to be such an awesome job. Well, no, I don't know. It seems like an awesome job. The only thing that would piss me off is that when you're driving a semi-truck on the interstate, people are constantly like cutting in front of you without using their signal, trying to sneak in front of you if traffic's slowing down and stuff like that. That would really piss me off because I do get road rage when it comes to that. But anyway, let me move on to the next thing. Let's see how far I am right now. I knew it was going to get late. I did know that. Let's see, another hour. Look at this. I'm over 2 hours in. So, let's see. Got through that article, so I can close that one out. Gladly, because that was some devastating news. Let's get in here. This is getting local. This is getting into Florida. Florida coronavirus cases rise to 3,198 as stay-home orders begin in Central Florida. The stay-at-home orders As of the other day, this was like Tuesday or Wednesday, Pinellas County, I think, was the first county in the state of Florida to order a stay-at-home ordinance, essentially. So you can spend up to like X amount of time in jail. I think that was part of it, or I think they might just simply fine you. Or no. Crap. What was it? Now I'm drawing a blank. It's not an order. They say it's an order. I'm seeing that it's a stay-at-home order. I guess I should just read the article, right? Gosh dang it. I'm trying to get around that because I know it's getting late. As two central Florida counties begin their temporary lockdown orders Friday, which Pinellas County, Hillsborough were the two first counties, and we're in West Florida, but we're in Central Florida too. So I think they're talking about us. But I did read this already, and I didn't see the names of counties, so that's why I assume they're talking about us. But that's Tampa Bay, by the way. State continues to rise with that amount of cases. It was reported a jump of nearly 300 compared to earlier in the same day, according to the Florida Department of Health. The FDOH dashboard also includes how many people are hospitalized statewide and each county due to the respiratory illness known as COVID-19. Blah blah blah. So as of now, 503 people in Florida are hospitalized according to those numbers. That is a lot of people. There are 46 people who have died from complications due to coronavirus. Okay, people, if you live in Florida, there's 503 people in hospitals right now with coronavirus. Highly, highly, highly contagious. Insanely contagious. Can you imagine what those nurses are dealing with right now? I mean, every time they leave the room, they got to throw their whole outfit in the trash. Could you imagine what that's doing? What that could potentially do to the world's landfills in the next year or two? Every time a nurse leaves an infected room, they have to completely disrobe. And unless they're in a whole wing that's infected, I guess they could keep the outfit on because they can go from room to room of infected person to infected person. But at least early on, when they're not sure really, they have to disrobe and throw all their materials in the trash. The N95 masks, the face cover in the trash, the hat in the trash, the coveralls in the trash, everything. Throw everything on, brand new. Next trip, let's see how you're doing. Okay, all right, looks like you're a little better. Let's hope for the best. You leave the room, same thing. I mean, it's just crazy the amount of resources that we're throwing away. But this is a virus. I mean, it's like microscopic little burrs. I don't know if you know burrs on a plant. I grew up in like the Midwest essentially. I also grew up in like South Carolina and Arkansas. I spent time in Gulfport, Mississippi. My dad was in the Air Force, so we lived all over. But burrs, out in the weeds, you get these prickly things stuck all over you. And it's kind of like what the virus is. I mean, it has these little spikes all over it. Those spikes are there for a reason. They're there to latch onto something, just like burrs are. So you can imagine hundreds of millions of these things floating around the air around an infected person. If they cough into the air, like a million of these things are going to fly into the air and they are going to be as sticky as burrs. It's like Velcro. And as soon as they land on whatever, they're not letting go so easily. The only way that you can get rid of them is by freaking killing them. That's my assumption. But anyway, so yeah, crazy. Confirmed U.S. cases. Obviously, this number. Okay, so the numbers, it's fairly accurate. Almost 600,000 worldwide now. This is kind of cool. I like the graphic. I mean, obviously it's not cool, but it's realistic. I mean, like it's a good, it's a good representation of what's going on around the world right now. So I just wish all this went to zero, like immediately. I really do. Now this is a map of the state county by county, and I zoomed in here to my county, Pinellas. And we are now sitting on 82 cases, which, again, I think I go back to Monday, maybe Tuesday, where I said we had cases in the 40s. It's doubled in less than a week. It's doubled. And it's only going to get worse and worse. I mean, if it doubles and doubles and doubles and doubles, I mean, you're looking like 2 months from now, more than half the county's infected. And I'm sorry to say it, people, but I think that's the way it's going to be. I mean, I wish they broke it down like inside the county because, I live in Seminole here. I live in the Seminole area, but it's just a broad thing. I don't know if they'll get sophisticated enough to do that. That'd be nice to know, like, oh, well, all of the 82 cases are like in Clearwater area or There's 22 in Clearwater, but there's 64 down in St. Pete and whatever the rest of it that is just dotted around. But I don't know. That'd just be nice to know. I know that's asking a lot, but it shouldn't matter. If you are in an infected area anywhere in the country, which looks like it's in a lot of it. Now, see, look at this. Florida still has some counties, even down on the peninsula, that don't have any cases. Zero. So I could understand these counties really wanting to keep other counties out of their area. Could you understand that? That's the whole thing with Governor Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis wanting to keep people out of Florida from other states. Think of it from a county-wide thing. Imagine this state is the United States. Each one of these little counties is an actual state. That's Nebraska. That's Oklahoma. Let's say this is, I don't know, Texas, or this is Illinois. That's Wyoming. There's California over here. I mean, it's basically the same thing. Like county governments. Okay, so there's like the city government, then there's the county government, then there's the state government, and then there's the national government. So even the counties should be allowed to rope off their border to prohibit anybody from going into such county. Because if there are 0 cases in these counties right now, I know it could be a reporting issue. Maybe they don't have any tests available in that area. I understand, I know. But I'm just saying, let's say that all the numbers are accurate and everybody's been tested. I'm just saying for the sake of that, there should be some areas, even a county, an individual. I think that's Hardy County. Could be wrong, but I don't know. But anyway, the county should be able to close off, especially if they are not infected, because you get Tampa here that has 174 confirmed cases, and right on its corner you have 0. So you get one of those infected people who don't even know they're infected. They take a road trip down to see mom or see my brother or whatever, and boom, they go to the grocery store and then they infect 15 people, and there you go. Now they're just as bad as everybody else. I'm just saying. Anyway, I'll close this out. I didn't finish it, I know, but time's running late. It's like 11 o'clock. It's Friday, man. It's Friday. Okay, so that was ominous. Now here, let me do this. Take another sip here. Hey, check this out. Livster. There's my Livster. My Livy kitty. Her name's Livy. She's Livy. I usually call her Livster. Livy Meister. Call her Livy Meister. Livster. Kitty. You purring yet? Yeah, she's purring. Listen to that. You purring. Yeah, she's purring. Listen to that. Holy cow. She's my sweet kitty. I got another one too. But yeah, if you hear cats meowing, it's not her. She never meows. She's really quiet. Here, I'll bring up the other one. Yeah, that meow. That's the meow. Here she is. Ugh. There's the other one. There's Lonnie. Her name is Lana. Yeah, she's purring already too. I call her Lonnie. I usually call her Lonnie. It's just a nickname. She's got these insane bear claws. Crazy sharp bear claws. They're huge. She's retracting them, so I can't show them right now, but purring. Yeah, purring like crazy. But she's really sweet too. Very sweet kitty. They're both girls. I got them at the same time from our SPCA shelter here in Pinellas. Very sweet. She was a feral cat, but she was only 5 months old. I think she was only 4 months old when they picked her up. So she was a pretty small kitten. But they had her on the cage as feral, but she's really strong, so I could believe that she's feral, but she's also very very, very loving. She's very loving, but her claws are like raptor claws. They're insanely huge. They're like bear claws. And then Livy, on the other hand, they didn't give any backstory on her. They just said that she came from a home that couldn't provide for her, and she was there. She was very shy. She never meows. The orange tabby.
She's super sweet. They're both really nice kitties, but they're both 5 years old. I got them when they were both. She was 7 months old, and the other kitty was 6 months old. But but yeah, they're good kitties. So I've had them for about 5 years. Yeah, actually, like almost down to the month. 5 years. So good kitties, very sweet, especially Livy. I don't want to pick favorites because Lana's awesome too. Lana is the only cat that sleeps with me every night in my bed. And back in 2015, I had a cat named Lola, and I had her for 12 years. And I actually got her back when I was 19. Right after I moved out of my house, I adopted her and had her until 2015. She died just out of nowhere. Like she was sitting on my lap and just so I was watching TV, watching a movie, and I was eating chicken nuggets because we made chicken nuggets. Like my daughter was having them, so we all had chicken nuggets that night. And I was eating them, and she jumped up on my lap trying to get some. And I was like, "You're not getting any of these chicken nuggets. No, you know better." So I tried to let her curl up, but she didn't. She just jumped off because I wasn't giving her any chicken nuggets. And then she kind of like walked around in a circle a little bit, kind of like what a dog. She did that kind of. It was kind of weird. Like she would like do like a half circle and then just lay down. Well, she did that and she went to sleep. And then 20 minutes later, I was trying to call her up because I was done eating. I'm like, "Come here, Lola. Come on, come on, come up here and lay down with me." She didn't move. And long story short, she died somewhere in that period of time. So 2 days after she died, I buried her. I buried her in our backyard. Very hard, very very hard, man. If you have a pet for your whole life, you know what I'm going through, or you know what I did go through. I'm not going through it anymore. I mean, I've moved on. But a couple of days later, I adopted them because I could not live with that hole. I couldn't do it. But I did do this. Let me just show you this real quick. Because I moved away from that house since then, but I did have this erected for her. So just to prove to you that she that she meant that much to me, I still have this. I still have her plaque that we made for her burial site, but we couldn't leave it there because the house got sold and all that crap. But um, yeah, it's tough, man. But awesome cats I have now. Awesome. I mean, if you're wanting to adopt from the shelter and if you're standoffish, I was either very lucky or it is incredible to go there because I mean, it was a slam dunk with both of them. Lana meows a lot. That kind of sucks. She loves to meow. That gets annoying after a while, but the good trade-off is that she sleeps in bed with me every night. So when I curl up and I start watching my phone before I fall asleep, she climbs right up, lays right next to me. It's awesome. Livy, she's way fuzzier. She's way calmer because Lana, she likes to, make biscuits, make biscuits, whatever it is you want to say. I say make biscuits, but um, yeah. So Livy doesn't do that. She just curls up and sleeps, but she never sleeps in my bed, so it kind of sucks. Because Lola, every single night for probably 10 years, almost 10 years, every single night when I laid down and I stopped moving in bed, like when I adjusted myself that I was going to be comfortable, not 5 seconds went by that she jumped up and just walked right up to where I was, right to where my stomach is, and she curled up and laid down there. Usually for about 20 minutes. It was always just long enough for me to fall asleep, and she'd get up and just run off and do her thing. It's crazy. I might just leave it there. I might just leave it on that note. I mean, I guess this is the last one. I guess if I really want to go all the way down. But this is in Michigan, and there were 3,657 confirmed cases in Michigan so far, which blew my mind. Like I said earlier, I could not believe that happened. I mean, that's on Florida's numbers. I was shocked because that's a big number. It's a lot of people. And all I got to say, folks, is that no, it doesn't matter where you live. Even if you don't even live in the United States, wherever you live, you're getting affected by it because you're watching this on the internet. You're watching this on YouTube because this is the only place I'm posting it right now. And I'm posting this the day after. Like this will go up on the 28th of March of 2020. So if you're watching this, it's gonna get bad. It's gonna get really, really bad, like bad. And really, the number one thing that you have to worry about is your health, of course. And it's easier than you think. Keep your hands clean. Never touch your face, okay? And if you think your hands may have touched something that's infected, disinfect them immediately, okay? You got to teach it to your kids. Never touch their face, just keep your hands away from your face. I mean, like when I was at work, I mean, I know I'm at home, so as soon as I get home and I start doing this, I just go back to my old methods. But when I'm at work, like all day long, like whenever my face itches, I'm just rubbing my face with my arm, with my sleeve. Like I'm constantly just, I got cat hair on me right now. But that's why my face is a little, it's not itchy, but I can feel it tickling. I'm not allergic to cats, but I'm just you know what I mean. If you have kitties and you're giving us smooches and stuff and you get that hair, I think it's my facial hair. That's really what's bothering me, honestly, is my facial hair. I never let it get this long. This I should have shaved off a week ago. I shave like once every 5 days, and it's been like 15 days now. So yeah, but I only have one razor left, and Amazon's not shipping shit. So anyway, I guess I'm just going to leave it there. I mean, if it's happening in Michigan at that large of a scale, I mean, I guess if you want to compare those two numbers you're seeing on the screen, 92 million or 92 people in Michigan, they have passed away, unfortunately. There are 3,657 people who are still struggling through it. But if that death number can stay at that rate, and this number of cases in Michigan stays around the same rate, then you got something that's comparable to flu. It kills what, like 2%. I think it's like a 1 or 2%. Or no, it's not. No, it's not. I'm so sorry. No, it's not. It's not flu. I think I'm thinking of Spanish flu or something. No. The flu today, it's like a 0.02%, something like that. It is way lower for the flu, which a lot of reporters and people are taking big time flack for that, because like literally a month ago, they were saying that, oh, the flu's way worse than coronavirus. The flu killed like 30,000 people last year. It looks like it's going to kill up to 50,000 people this year. Whatever. But anyway, I'm just going to leave it there. I hope this video turned out okay. If it didn't turn out okay for the camera, at least I got it on the screen. And I am sorry that there might have been some amounts of time where the cursor just sat still and you were just watching a blank screen of me talking. I apologize for that. I'm trying to, kind of be the quarterback between two objects right now, the screen and the camera, and trying to, divvy up my attention between the two. So I don't know if it worked or not. I hope it did, but if not, again, my apologies. I'll try again tomorrow and I'll see what I need to work out with myself. But it's just me here. It's just me. But yeah, I guess that's it for now. There's nothing left to do. It's 11 o'clock. So I think for what left, or for the Friday that I have left, I'm going to enjoy it. Maybe watching a movie or something. I haven't watched a movie in a long time, so I might get into that. I'm a huge movie buff. So if you have an awesome movie that you've seen lately, put it down in the comments. I think I'm going to probably watch Inception tonight. I might finish that. I know that's, like a, top tier movie. It's like on like the top 10 IMDb's movie list or something like that. I know that, but I started watching it a couple of weeks ago, and it's been chiseled. It's been tattooed in my head since I started the first half, because I had to pause it. So maybe I'll wrap that up tonight. It is Friday, so anyway, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed it, and just check back on my channel. Check back for the next video, and I hope you stay super safe out there. I hope you keep your hands clean. I hope everything's okay with your relatives and your friends, and you're doing the best that you can possibly do in this situation. Again, if you've been furloughed from your job, if you cannot find work,
do the best that you can to try to gain some sort of skills, especially if you're able to draft unemployment for 4 months. Seriously, don't sit on those 4 months. I'm telling you, man, 4 months from now, it is going to be dire straits to the max. If you can do anything in those 4 months, you've got to develop a new trade, something that is practical, that people may have to hire for. I gave out one example with this video, truck drivers. That is obvious right now. Keep looking on the internet. Keep looking. Keep trying to find something. I mean, I'm not going to be looking for that because, I've got my position. I'm good so far with my job, and I'm going home because they're trying to bring us work from home. My job's internet based. So if you're in that position where you're not as fortunate, you've got to find something that will be able to give you a good paying job that is high in demand, that will give you a high possibility of getting hired. And I mean, that's just the best that I could offer you. I mean, I'm so sorry I can't offer you anymore, but all I can say right now is thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back tomorrow. And I'll try to keep the camera rigged up, and hopefully I'll bring another one to you. It's not going to be nearly as long. Friday night's Friday night. I'm just chilling. It's Friday. So, all right. Till next time, I will cut it there. Thank you so much for watching. Stay super safe out there. Hands, keep them clean, 6-foot distance. And until then, I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.